Not. Here we go. Okay. So tonight, this week is Parsha Shemini. So we finished already all the Memorim in Torah Or and Lakuti Torah for Parsha Shemini. And so we're going to learn a mimer from the Rebbe Rashab, the fifth Chabad Rebbe. And his, this is in Sefer Memorim Tafresh Ayin Ches. And Baruch Hashem, it's a very readable, not too long, and very Gishmaka mimer. Hashem will help, we'll only get more clarity as we will learn. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shachol b'dvarim. Here we go. The parsha opens up with the completion of the inauguration of the Beis Hamikdash, of the Mishkan, in which there was a 7-day period in which they did pre-inauguration stuff. In the end of Parshat Tzav, and then on the 8th day is Vayehe Bayom Shemini, is the day that God, the Shekhinah, the divine presence, came to rest in the Mishkan to the eyes of all the Jewish people. And so the parsha begins, and so the Torah says what needed to be done. Moshe instructs his brother Aaron and the sons. Basically, this is the first day the Beis Hamikdash is open for business. And this is the day that God is going to come down to dwell in the Mishkan. And everything that was done before was only preparation. And the parsha begins, it was on the 8th day. So what happened? Moshe calls Aaron and his sons, he tells them this is what you should do, and then Hashem will come down, and that's what happened. Hashem came down. Then we have further the tragic story with the two sons of Aaron and that. Okay, the mimer is going to focus on the uniqueness of the number 8, because the pasuk actually says it happened on the 8th day. So let's see what the mimer. Let's follow along with the mimer. It was on the 8th day that Moshe called to Aaron and his sons. Pirush Rashi, and Rashi says Shemini Limaliyim. What does it mean it was the 8th day? 8th day to what? Well, the 8th day, in continuation to what it says in last week's parsha, the end of Parshat Tzav, it speaks about the 7 days of inauguration. There were 7 days of inauguration. This is the 8th day. Because of a Klei Yakar, so the Klei Yakar writes, Klei Yakar is one of the commentaries on Chumash. The Shemini Limaluyim Mashma. So yeah, Rashi, the Klei Yakar has a hard time with this phrase. The 8th day to the Miluyim, to the filling ceremony, to the inauguration ceremony. The ceremony of inaugurating the Mishkan, which means the word Maluya means actually to fill. It was a days that you did certain things that filled the temple with its proper holiness and kind of broke in the Mishkan to be ready to receive the ultimate revelation of God, which happened on the 8th day. If that's the case, the problem is like this. When Hashem instructed them to do this breaking in procedure, it says explicitly in the pasuk that instruction was that it should be done for 7 days. Shivas yamim yamal yadchem. 7 days, your hands, the hands of the priest, should be broken in, meaning you should be filled with this holiness of kahuna by doing so and so for 7 days, like 7 days of practice. So the pasuk says explicitly it's a 7-day period. So there's no 8th day to it. What do you mean 8th day? You can say it was the day after. But if you're counting it 8, means that it's a continuation to what was before, and that there is some kind of a period of 8 days. And it doesn't exist. There's no period of 8 days regarding the Mishkan. The Mishkan, let's call it pre-inauguration work and activities was a 7-day process. That's the question. It implies that this day is from one of the filling days. It's not so. It says 7 days you should fill your hands of the Kohen, and making the Kohen into a Kohen. So the Oimer, and what does he answer? So in order to answer this question, he says, you're right, that this day, in a sense, is a new thing. It's, as I said earlier, it's the first day that the Beis Hamikdash, that the Mishkan, the tabernacle, is open for business. It's the first day, it's not the 8th day. But why is it calling it as the 8th? Because the pasuk wants to explain why this day had such power to accomplish something so magnificent. What was accomplished on this day that was so magnificent? This was the day that there was godly revelation. And as we're going to see soon, the chiddush, the novelty over here, is that there was godly revelation in the physical world. And not only as a one-time, event, but as something that was later going to be more of a permanent thing. That the Shekhinah comes down into the physical world and manifests and reveals itself down here, and now God is revealed in the physical world, which is contrary to the nature of the physical, that it conceals and obscures God. So here we had a revelation of Hashem in this world. So why on this day out of all days? And he says, since this day was Gilui Shechina, revelation of Shechina. The pasuk says specifically, why do you need to do all these specific sacrifices? This whole specific procedure is because because on this day Hashem nira aleichem, Hashem is appearing to you. So what distinguishes this day from all other days, that this day is so special? Why is it dafka in this day? Why isn't it in the days that were before this? On this he says the reason, because it's the 8th day, and that's the reason why this day is so distinct and so unique, that the Shekhinah will dwell in the Beis HaMikdash. And he explains, so what's so significant that it's the 8th day? Because number 8 is a very powerful number. The Shemini mispar makudash. 8 is a very holy number. As it says in Medrash, Kol kilusay shel Moshe, all of the praise that Moshe Rabbeinu praised God, I guess. Or the praise of Moshe Rabbeinu as he is praised. I'm not exactly sure what kilusay of Moshe, but uz is in uz. The greatness of Moshe is with the word uz. What's uz? Uz is number 8. What do we see by Moshe Rabbeinu? The word uz emphasized. He says, "Umay uz basi al Parai." He emphasizes uz from the time that I came to Parai. He uses the word uz, and later when he sings the song after the redemption of the Jewish people, he says, "Uz yashir Moshe." Then Moshe sang. You have emphasized the word uz. What's uz? Uz is an aleph and a zayin. So that's number 8, because aleph is 1 and 7 is 7. And I'm sorry, of course 7 is 7 and zayin is 7. So 1 and 7 is 8. So and so you see that all the praise of Moshe Rabbeinu is with number 8. Now on the number 8, when the Torah speaks about the number 8, in this sense that Moshe Rabbeinu, his entire praise is with the number 8, you see that the number 8 is divided in 2. It's 7 plus 1. Uz, aleph, even though it's the number 8, but this one number 8 doesn't go in one flow. It's 7 plus 1, zayin, and an aleph, and in addition to that, an aleph, which is similar to this day being the 8th day, that the 8th day was not a continuum of the previous days, because as I said earlier, the instruction was that they should do the work in the Mishkan for a 7-day period. And then, but the day after, which is separated, which is a new thing, is called the 8th day. It's the one that comes after the 7, and that's number 8. This is one that's riding on the 7, which represent, which in a broader sense means like this. 7 represent nature, the natural order, which has to do with the 7 stars, or the 7 planets. And then there is God, who is the singular one from the world. He rides above the 7. He's above the 7. In other words, what he's saying is 7 represents the creation, the world, and 8 represents the transcendental, what transcends creation, which in this case would be the infinite light of God. Similar to the idea that the one who rides in the heaven, meaning he rides above the worlds, Be'ezrecha comes to your assistance. That's the number which is a pasuk in Zeis HaBracha. So this is the idea of number 8. And because Chazal say that this day, which was the 8th day, by the way, it was the first day of the month of Nisan, which is actually something we're preparing for now. This Shabbos is going to be the Shabbos Mevorchen Chodesh Nisan. And Chodesh Nisan is going to be next week Shabbos HaChodesh and Shabbos Rosh Chodesh. And the 8th day, not al Eser HaTaris. So it says like this, Chazal say that first day of Nisan, which was the day that the Mishkan, God came down to dwell in the Mishkan, Chazal say that that day is so special that it took 10 crowns. And it goes on to say, what were the 10 special things that were so fantastic about that day? Sages go through and tell us 10 magnificent things, which those are all related, they're called 10 crowns. So it was the 8th day in terms of inaugurating the Mishkan, but it didn't have 8 crowns, it had 10 crowns. So we need to understand that. We're now saying the significance is number 8, because 8 represents transcendental dimension, the infinite, the godly. But now we're saying that this day connected to 10 crowns. So then 10 is higher than 8. What's the significance of number 8? 10. So we're going to learn about that. We're going to see about Hu Inyan. So this is the idea. So the Kli Yakar says that being that number 8 is already representing that which is higher than the world, and therefore it connects to the future. Because when is the world finally going to be connected to the and fully merged with Hashem, with the transcendental dimension of God? It's going to be the days of Mashiach. The sages tell us that when Mashiach comes, something of the number 8 will kick in, and then even deeper than that, 10 will kick in. What's the significance of 10 kicking in? So number 8 is that we know that when Mashiach will come, it says that there will be a harp with 8 strands. We'll find an 8th note to music, which is unbelievable what that means. There's 8th note to music. Now music only has 7 notes. But then it says that that's the kinnor of Yamoisa Mashiach. But then the kinnor of La'asid Lavai, which comes after the days of Mashiach, is going to be a kinnor, a harp of 10 strands. The kinnor shel Yamoisa Mashiach yeshal shmoina nimen. It's going to have 8. Shel La'asid asara nimen. And then La'asid future, after the days of Mashiach, is going to be 10. Which means that somehow through the 8, we access the 10. Both of them are a novelty, because now music is the notes of 7. After Mashiach comes, we're going to tap into the 8th dimension, and via the 8 into the 10th dimension. So we find it also in the first day of Nisan. It was the 8th day, but that day grabbed 10 crowns, 10 special things. So you see that from the 8, we touch and we relate to what's even beyond the 8, and that's number 10. Vayehe, and the idea is as follows: the Isa b'tshuvas Rashba. So to understand what is the Kli Yakar. Now this whole mimer is going to explain this teaching of the Kli Yakar. Vayehe, the Isa b'tshuvas Rashba. It's stated in the Tshuvas of the Rashba, Chelik Aleph, Siman Tes. Sheyesh Ma'ayis. The Rashba gives us one of the Rishonim, Rabbi Shlomo ben Aderes, a student of the Nachmanides, Ramban, the great Talmudists, writes that we find in Jewish holidays that there is we celebrate numbers of days. So we're accustomed a lot to a 7-day Yom Tov. Pesach is going to be a 7-day holiday, essentially, biblically. Over here in Chutz Li'aretz, we add an 8th day, but essentially it's really a 7-day holiday. But then we also have a certain Yom Tovim, there are 8 days. For example, Sukkot is an 8th-day Yom Tov. And there too, it's 7 plus an 8th day, and the 8th day is considered a Yom Tov on its own. Same idea. It's called Shemini Atzeres, number 8, but it's still a Chag on its own. It's not like Shvi Shel Pesach, which is the last day of Pesach. Shvi Shel Pesach, we don't say Shechiyanu, because it's a continuation of Pesach, something new. Shemini Atzeres is like a new thing. It's number 8. Another holiday that we find associated with number 8 is Hanukkah, also number 8. So we find holidays of 7 and holidays of 8. So what is the significance of holiday of 7 and holiday of 8? Shiva Yamim wollte ich wen gewisst. Shiva Yamim em neged Shivas Yemei Bereshis. The 7 days correspond to the 7 days of creation. Like it says, Sheishes Yamim Asa Hashem es Hashemayim es Haaretz. 6 days God created heaven and earth. Ubayom Hashvi Shavas, and on the 7th day the Eibishter rested. Vehen Shivas Yemei HaBinyan, and these are the 7 days of the structure of creation. Shabbos, in addition to Pesach, every Shabbos is the 7th day. We're commemorating 7. So the Rashba says, what's the significance of number 7? 7 is the natural order of time. That what? Because Hashem created the world in 7 days. Sheishis Yamim. First Hashem created the world in 6 days, and the 7th day He rested. But Shabbos is not above creation. Shabbos is considered part of creation. As Chazal say, as we're going to see in a moment, that the word Vayechulu Hashamayim Va'aretz, the world was completed. In what way was it completed on Shabbos? Because Rashi brings what the sages say, the world was lacking rest. But Shabbos ba menucha. Shabbos came and there was menucha. So you see that what Shabbos provides is what completes creation. It's not something above and beyond creation. It's not a gift to creation. It simply completes the creation. So therefore Shabbos, even though Shabbos is Kodesh, it's holy, which represents that it's more godly than the rest of time, but yet it's a godliness that somehow is attached and part of creation. Number 8, however, as we're going to see soon, is utterly transcendental. On the 7th day He rested. And they're called Shivas Yemei HaBinyan, the 7 days of construction. Constructing what? Constructing the world. V'nichlal Shabbos gam ken b'Yemei HaBinyan. Shabbos is also included in the days of construction. It says that God completed on the 7th day. What do you mean He completed? Shabbos He didn't do anything, He rested. And the answer is the rest itself is the completion. What was the world lacking? Menucha was lacking resting. Shabbos came and rest came. So Shabbos is the rest that completes creation. All right, so that's whenever we celebrate a 7-day holiday, for example, Pesach, we're tapping into holiness, because creation at its core is also holy, because creation is an emanation of Hashem. Hashem really is the backbone of nature. So creation is also godly. It's just that usually we don't see the godliness of creation. We only see the creation element of creation. We see the created entity. We see the husk, the shell, the material. We don't see the design, the underlying designer that has done it. On Shabbos and also on a holiday like Pesach, we're able to move away the klipa and the shell, and we experience the pneumius, the internal, the inner core. And what's that? That's the energy of God that's within creation. But it's the energy of God that's within creation, which is considered the energy of 7. But then we have the Yom Tovim of 8 days. And it's not just that 8 is a longer holiday. It's longer in days. It incorporates an 8th day. And that means that this holiday we access an energy that's beyond nature, beyond the world. It's otherworldly. That's the idea. And Lamaila Mashiva, it's beyond the 7. Shivas Yemei HaBinyanim, Shivas Yemei HaHekev. So the Rashba explains, the 7 days of construction are considered the 7 Hekef, meaning surrounding days, or days that go in a circle. They're circular days. The L'choyre Eina Movin means they go round and round. The L'choyre Eina Movin, it's not understood. Now, what does this mean, these words? Shivas Yemei HaHekev. What is it? Why is it called Hekev? The reason why it's called Hekev is because it keeps on going round and round, and it never ends. In other words, these days repeat itself. There's a repetition. It's like putting your playlist on repeat. It goes around. If you're not going to stop it, as long as it's plugged into a power source, it will sing forever. It will keep on going the same songs again and again and again. So that's the way the 7 days of creation are. When Shabbos ends, completes the week, you flow right. It kicks right back into Sunday, and that's how it goes around. It's not understood. This that we always get. Now, how do you know it's surrounding? Maybe it's not. Maybe, who says time is going in circular? That the 6 days are circulating. They're going around and coming around again, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Where do we get this idea? Maybe it's just a endless, linear formation of days, where it's just going and on and on and on a line. How do you see a circle? Where do you see it's a new day? Okay, it's that we couldn't handle giving every day a new name, probably, so we kind of call it again Sunday, but technically, why is it Sunday? It's not Sunday. Why do we have to repeat it? So you think about it, it's like such a weird thing. that everybody does that in the world. We go again Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Why not just keep on going straight this day? Why would you repeat again what was? You've done that already. It should be a new thing, but it's not that way. Why is that? That's he's asking the question. We always go back to call Sunday first day, Yom Sheni the second day, especially in Hebrew, where the meaning of Sunday, the word Sunday is Yom Rishon. Rishon means it's the first day. And you're emphasizing more that it's not just, you're naming it with a certain name, what was last week, but it's actually the first day. It's as if there was never a day before this. This is the number one day. From creation, from when the world was created until now, there's already thousands and tens of thousands of days. So why do we constantly count Sunday and Monday? And the answer is because the days do come around again. It's the same day coming around again. It's not a new day. So it's like only, how many days are there? 7 days. And they keep on repeating. Now, even though they keep on repeating, it's not, that would be very boring to have just the same day repeat and repeat. They're slightly different. It's like Sunday. Sundays always kind of has the same kind of energy. But here you're going to a bar mitzvah, here you're going to an upsharing on Sunday, here you're going out to the park, here you're just lazing around. And it generally has a Sunday energy, kind of it's off work, it's the first day, you're kind of getting back into the week from Shabbos. But the actual chemistry of every Sunday is slightly different. And we're going to see in the Mimer that the chemistry being slightly different on Sunday is not just because of the things that we do on Sunday that's different. Today I had bagels and lox on Sunday, and next week I'm going to have shakshuka on Sunday. And that made my difference that Sunday. See, I'm giving you all the good ideas. As soon as we come in, we're thinking of shakshuka and lox. And see, that's what I think about. I should be learning the Mimer, and I'm thinking about shakshuka. Okay. But you know what? We're going to learn in the Mimer that shakshuka and lox is also godly. And that's the ultimate state. So we're going to get to that. Let's get there. But upon him, it's not only because of what we are doing differently on Sunday, it's because the day itself is slightly, the fabric of time itself is slightly different. Even though the overall energy of every Sunday is the same. And the overall energy of Monday, it's much easier to get out of bed on Sunday. What I mean easier is it's more delightful to get out of bed on Sunday. Monday, when you get out of bed on Monday, there's always a krechts. Oi, it's a Monday. And because Monday has a gevura energy. And it's always the same Monday. Monday is always Monday. Tuesdays are really different. So as he says, Ella, the reason why we always count it as Sunday, Ella shen yemei hekef. The days are actually the same days. And this is the only explanation. There's no other explanation in terms of human psychology. Why did everybody decide to make a week of 7 days and you go around and around and around Sunday, Monday, Tuesday? It really doesn't, you think about it, where did it come from? We know Kashesh Yom Mas Hashem. But still, even though Hashem made the world in 7 days, it should still continue. And the answer is it's the same day, and innately we feel it's the same day that was last week. It's not a new day. Sunday is always Sunday. It's the same day coming around and around. It's like a merry-go-round. The same day keeps on coming around again and again and again. As he says, Shen Yemei Hekef. These are days that go around. Shechoizrin Chalila. Chalil over here is not a word that we use. Chalila, that's a Chalil over here means round and round. It goes Shechoizrin, it returns in a circle. The Inyan and the idea is the Hine Bayom Rishon Meir B'chenes HaChesed. And why is that? What does it mean? It's the same day. It's because the day is made up. Time is obviously a creation, and it's made up by a certain divine energy. And what makes one day different? What makes time stop suddenly? And we say this is a new section of time. You can ask before I asked why do we have again Sunday, but what makes a division of time? Okay, so we know what makes a division of time. That you already have something you can point in nature. Vayehe, it gets night and light, and then it goes back again, sun sets again, it gets dark again. It's a new beginning. But maybe it's a repeat of what was yesterday. Why is it Sunday, Monday? Why is it something else? The answer is because I mentioned earlier, it's a different chemistry. The nature of the day is different chemistry because Hashem creates the world out of his 7 midos, 7 attributes. And the character of Sunday is a character of kindness. And when it comes Sunday evening, the kindness stops. And the Monday creation is more of a harsh creation. That's why we all don't feel so good on Monday. It's a tough day. It's a day of challenge, a day of to overcome challenges, and so on and so forth. Meir b'chenes hachesed, the Bayom Sheni, and then on Monday b'chenes hagevura, emanates Hashem's Gevura. Ubiyam Shlishi, and on Tuesday, Teferes. That's why it's 2 times Kitov. Teferes is splendor, harmony, synthesis. No, not saying it right. Okay. Okay, it's okay. I'm a little tired today. Anyways, Teferes, and therefore and that's why it's a very special day on Tuesday. Finally, Ad Yom HaShvi, until the 7th day, Pchenas Malchus. Finally, the 7th day is the element of Malchus, kingship, and that's Shabbos. And Varei Lo Yesh Rak Zayin Midos. So there's only 7 Midos. So how does time continue? The answer is, after the 7 Midos, we go back again to the first Midah. The first Midah kicks back in, it's Chesed. That's why it's Sunday again. After the number ends, which is by Malchus, Meir Oida Pam, it starts all over again from Chesed and the like. Pchenas Chesed and Chesed Chulu. V'alkei Nimna Cholila. That's why we go around and around. Rishon, Sheni, Shlishi. Sunday, Monday. And that will also explain why every Sunday is again Rishon. Hayom Yom Rishon. Because we're back to the actual first day of creation. Hagam, and even though, this is what he mentioned earlier, that even though it's not exactly the same, not every Sunday is exactly the same Sunday. Hagam, the Pchenas HaChesed de Yom Rishon Zeh, the kindness flow that's in this Sunday, Einoi Kamoi Pchenas HaChesed de Yom Rishon Shalofonav, is not exactly like the Chesed that was flowing in the previous Sunday. The Keshem, and how do we know that? She'elef Shanim, the Shis Alfei Shnin, just like the 1,000 years of the 6,000 years of creation, Muchulakem umuvdalim zeh mizeh, are separated and divided one from each other. The Elef ha'echadai mebchenas ha'chesed, the first Elef, the first 1,000 years was just like I mentioned earlier, Sunday is Chesed, Monday is Gevura. We also know the millenniums are that way. First 1,000 years dominated the Eibishter's Chesed. Second 1,000 years Gevura. That's why the Mabul happened, harsh punishments. It was a very dark time. Third 1,000 years was Teferes. That's why Matan Torah came. Then the world became beautiful, mitzvahs, and whatever. Va'abeis Megvura, Va'gimel Teferes, the third millennium. Now we're holding on Friday, Yisoid. So just like it's different in general, that in each 1,000 years different energy, so too within each 1,000 years itself, Hashanim b'chol elev ve'elev gamkein muchulakim. The years are different. And not only are the years different, but with it, since the years are different, so all the subsections of the year, which are the days of the year, will also be different. How the midos of Hashem are, what the mood is, how the midos are integrated one with each other, how they're harmonized. It's a different blend, right? And just a little different blend creates a whole different nature, right? You can be drinking coffee, and it's all coffee, but depending on the coffee blend, slight nuances changes the whole thing. This nutty taste, and this is a little more drier earth taste, and this is this kind, this is that kind. And what? It's all coffee. That's what it is. The chesed of the Eibishter varies in so many different nuances of kindness, because we know that kindness is multifaceted. All the midos are included in chesed. So you can have various different, infinite amount of blends of how the chesed is mixed. Chesed is always dominating because it's the 1,000 years of chesed, or it's the Sundays. Every Sunday is an element of chesed, but it's slightly different. But in general, it's still Sunday, which is chesed. And so too every week is different. How the chesed and gevura are blended differently. It's all the same midos of chesed, gevura, teferes, and that's why it's called Shivas Yemei HaHekif, round around, because you end 7 days, there's nowhere else to go. You go back to chesed. Malchus, chesed. And that's the way it works. It is drawn every single day. That's why we count Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Vehen Yemei HaHekif, and these are the days of Hekif. Now he's going to add another reason why it goes round and round. That's reason number one. Since the days, time, is created by the Eibush. There's Hashem's input, and Hashem's input are Hashem's emotions. Sheishes Yamim Asa Hashem, through Hashem's emotions, He channels His energy into the universe to create, and the first and that's time that He's creating. And there's only 7 emotions, so that's why when you complete the 7, you go back to the beginning. Now He's going to add another idea, and that is why it kicks back to the beginning. And now there's another very fascinating idea. It is known, the Yom HaShabbos, Shu B'chenas Malchus, Harehu L'maylo M'kol Hayamim. Shabbos, which is Malchus, which should be the lowest of all days, because Malchus is the lowest sphera. And since Malchus is the lowest sphera, the energy of Malchus is the most reduced. We know that all throughout the attributes act as a filter, as a screening. And the further you go in the screening process, the less energy flows. So the time you get to Malchus, it's the last and final adjustment before the energy can actually flow into creation. It is so reduced, it is so diminished. So it would be that Shabbos should be the least of holy days. And yet Shabbos is the holiest. We'll see why in a moment. But for the very reason that Shabbos is the holiest, means that Shabbos, for some reason, because it hits the bottom, it rebounds and takes you back up to the top. Not just to the top, but it actually lifts you up beyond the top, beyond the beginning. And what's beyond the beginning? What's beyond the beginning is beyond time. So you have a series of days that's evolving, time evolving. As time evolves, the days as they emerge, creating the setting of time. But then when you hit the bottom, since Shabbos, as we're going to see, is the holiest. Why is it the holiest? Because of its not chilas and besoy, from the beginning is wedged in the end. It now takes you back to the pre-beginning. And it takes you back to the pre-beginning. It takes you back to beyond time. And that's why Shabbos is a day of rest, because what tires us is change. Change causes you get exhausted when things are changing. When you're in a constant state where nothing is changing, there's no exhaustion. There's menucha. The change, the constant need to adapt to the changes around us, cause a person to get tired. Now, why is Shabbos not changing? Because Shabbos, we're opening up suddenly in the midst of the 7th day. We're now we touch what's beyond time, and beyond time there is no change, because time is change, and that's why there is menucha. But since we touch a place that's beyond time, so when we go back into time, it's a new time starts all over again. So that's another reason why Sunday is the beginning again. The first reason was because since God is creating only through 7 midas, so when the 7 midas ends, you have 2 options. Either creation ends, 7 days and creation ends, or if you're going to continue, it's back to the beginning again. Why didn't the Eibishter emanate a gazillion midas? He could have, but he didn't. For whatever reason, he chose only 7 midas. So that's why you go back to the beginning. But another reason is because we're actually touching what's outside of time, as we're going to see. Vayehe hu dihine, he explains that Shabbos is lamaylo m'kol hayamim. Why? The oyer hakav meir ba'atzilus. So in Kabbalah we know there's a concept called kav. What's kav? Very briefly, there's a black hole. When God created, He made this black hole. He took Himself away, because if God would be fully present and manifest and revealed, there could be no space for creation. So Hashem rolls His light away, only His light, not Himself, but His light, His revealed presence, and becomes a place of absence. And in that dark space, He is going to create the world. But how does He create the world? By inserting His creative energy. So He has to reintroduce Himself, because with the absence of Him, then we have nothing. So He has to reinsert Himself. But He doesn't reinsert Himself as He was before, because then there was no point of what? Of the absence, of the removal. So He reintroduces Himself in a very, very narrow, and that's called a kav, a little line. Now that kav is wider at the beginning, which means more light, and it gets narrower and narrower and narrower, and it creates the various different dimensions of creation. It gets lower and lower and lower, less light, less light, less light, like a beam of light that's getting weaker and weaker and weaker the farther that it is going. And the creations that are revolving are farther away from Him as it moves. So it says that kav flows, the lowest and final place where the kav goes directly is to the world of Atzilus. We always think Atzilus is the highest. It is, but that's compared to the 4 worlds, which is creation. But really, there's a whole Seder Ishtalshalos till you get to Atzilus. So many levels. Atzilus is already siyum of the kav. But The kav, that line continues through all the spheres of Atzilus. Chachma, Bina passes from one sphere. And what's the end of the kav? Where does the kav end? In Malchus Atzilus. That's where the kav ends. The kav of the Orein Soif, of the infinite light, ends there. How does creation continue? So it's explained, it's not the kav, it's the ha'ara of the kav that continues. Array of the kav. It's no more the original kav. The kav is the original insertion of light from the Orein Soif. Past Atzilus, there can't be Orein Soif fully manifest active. Because if it would be Orein Soif, then the creations that are created would be Ein Sof. And since we're dealing with Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya, which is real creation, it's finite. It can't be a power that's infinite, active over there, at least visibly in the creations. Atzilus is still Ein Sof. The spheres of Atzilus are Ein Sof. Chachma is infinite wisdom. Bina is infinite. Chesed is infinite chesed. So, in a certain way, Atzilus is Ein Sof. So, therefore, the kav can be an Atzilus, but not lower than Atzilus. So, where's the ending point of that kav? How's it shayach on a kav that's bli gevul, that there should be an ending point? That's a good question. But al kapanim, it reaches Malchus Atzilus, and there it's mistayim. There it comes to an end. And that's what he's going to explain. That's why Shabbos, which is the energy of Malchus manifesting, should be the lowest, but precisely because it's the end, it becomes very potent at the end, as we're going to see now. The tchilas, the oira kav meir b'atzilus is the light of the kav that shines in Atzilus. Nimshachat b'chinas Malchus is drawn until Malchus. The tchilas hamshachas b'chinas chachma. First, it's hamshachas and chachma. V'nimshachach kach b'bina, and then it goes into bina. U'b'chol ha'sfiris, and it goes through all the attributes. In each attribute, less and less. U'mestayim b'malchus, and it ends in Malchus. V'yadu, it is known the chol hamshacha, that every hamshacha miskaberes b'siyum hamshachasa. Every hamshacha we know every flow becomes intensified at its ended target. The ended target of every hamshacha becomes there's a certain potency at the very end. Because since the end is the purpose of why you did it, because if it wasn't the purpose, why are you continuing till this point? This is the end. Obviously, this is what you want to do. There's a certain energy that's there at that very last thing. And therefore, b'pchenas malchus, shesham mistayim akav, in the level of malchus where the kav ends, hineshamu dafka b'his gabrus yoser. Dafka over there, it is stronger. So in Tanya, for instance, it says that we know that the earth closest to earth is warm. You go up on a plane, it's freezing cold. On a mountain, it's cold. The higher you go, it's colder it is. Are you closer to the sun? So the answer is that since the light, the rays of the sun end on the earth, it's more intense at the bottom where it is in the middle. Now, and the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, it has to do with the fact that because on the earth, it's getting a reflection back. So you're getting double the sunlight. You're getting it one way, and you're getting it reflecting the other way, or chayzer. And because of the or chayzer, you have two light. As opposed to higher up, you don't have so much the rebounding effect of the light rebounding back. But al kapanim, just like we know that it's easier to get sunburned when you're on the ocean, because the light is reflecting off the water, and you have extra light. But that's not the mamish, the point. That's something else. That's called or chayzer that happens in the end, which he mentioned soon. Here he's saying another nakud, that every hamshacha, at the conclusion of the hamshacha, at the very last point, it's far more potent than it is where in the duration of the hamshacha. What's the proof in that in physics? He doesn't bring a mashal here, and I don't remember. In Chassidus, it gives mashalim from this, from many, many things, but I didn't get a chance to look that up, and I don't remember it now. The beginning is wedged in the end. The soifa hamshacha, the end of a hamshacha, who be his gabris yoiser, is more intense. Gam mebchinas roisha hespashtus, even more than the very beginning. That means he's saying Shabbos is holier not just than Wednesday. Yeah, Shabbos is holier than Wednesday, Fashteya. It's holier than Thursday or Friday. But why is it holier than Sunday? Sunday is the beginning of the Hamshach, the first of Hamshach. The Gam, it's even higher than the Rosh, as stated elsewhere. And where do we find something like that? The Gilui HaTainug Hu B'Shabbos Dafka. One of the places where you can see that the inner, deepest, and the pre-Hamshacha, the most intense element of the Hamshacha, and I should say the Pnimius of the Hamshacha, the deepest inner part, is more visible in the end than it is even at the beginning of the Hamshacha. As you see that Shabbos is a day that's full of pleasure. And why is Shabbos a day we're supposed to take delight in Shabbos. But the day itself is a pleasurable day. Why? Because the Eibishter's pleasure in creation is visible, is felt on Shabbos. Is more pronounced on Shabbos. Why is it more pronounced on Shabbos? So he explains the innate, and he explained this idea. The Gilead Tainagu b'Shabbos Dafka is Dafka on Shabbos. The hine Iker hachayis v'hagdola sa'or b'chol esses spheros. In general, the esses spheros is the Eibishter's projection. The Eibishter projects, we're going to soon see later in the Maimer, the Eibishter projects the esses spheros in order to be able to be mashpia to the world. So he emanates esses spheros. Now the esses spheros are driven by what? By the Eibishter's desire to reveal himself. To reveal and to create. Now underlying, and that's, he has a ratzin. Now, the esses spheros are constantly in a state of fluctuation. What's the point of all of our Torah and mitzvahs, for instance? Whenever we're learning Torah and mitzvahs, whatever we're doing, we're constantly lis takana raza deshma. The Zohar says, is to intensify God's name. And we know, Kabbalistically, we know that when we're doing mitzvahs, we're causing yichudim, zivugim, yichudim. What does it all mean? It means that we're causing more Ein Sof, a tremendous gush of the Ein Sof energy to flow into the spheres. So it seems like this, not seems like, as it's explained, the spheres can be kind of a low tide, or low pressure, or they can be high pressure, high voltage. And the spheres as something's turned on, just like in a human being. You have love. And you have love to people that you really love. You have good friends that you love. You have family members that you love. You have your spouse, your children, you really love them. But in your love itself, there are days that you're feeling your heart is pumping with love. And there are days that it kind of, mellow. You don't feel the intensity of it. So you see that the love it's the same chesed that's there. Sometimes it's filled with a lot of energy. Sometimes it's kind of empty. It's low fuel. And mitzvahs increase that light. But what's the main director of the potency of the spheres, to increase the energy, to get the spheres kicking? It should be like bountiful. And the same is also with the mind. When a person has seichel, there are days you sit down to learn, or you're sitting down in your business, whatever it is, and your creativity is spectacular. The ideas are flowing. Your head is like boom, 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 amachaya. And it's like, wow, you're blown. Right? You're actually impressed with how intense the ideas are flowing. And then there are times where you have a verstopte cup and nothing is going. It's just like dead. So you see, again, even intellect, emotions are constantly in a state of fluctuation. What's really the underlying key to it all is if you can access the pleasure. Which means, because really what drives desire? You have a desire. Everything is motivated by desire. You have a desire to love, you love. You don't have a desire to love, you don't love. You have a desire to learn, to be creative, you'll be creative. You don't have a desire, you just want to lay in bed and do nothing, it's going to happen. You need to have a desire. But what's the underlying key to desire is pleasure. And pleasure is almost what we would say your very self. Your etzem hanefesh is your pleasure. It's your very life force. So when you have a delight, and your pleasure is you're conscious of the pleasure is always there. But the person is, you're in a state of, you're open, and your pleasure is more accessible. So you feel a pleasure in being alive, and as a result of that, that pleasure flows into your desire, and the pleasure fills all the crevices of your psyche, and your koiches hanefesh, which is the koach, let's say, if you're a mind person, an intelligent person, as we mentioned earlier, a creative person, you feel pleasure in your work and your job in studying and learning. Like every day we have our shiurim. We all have shiurim. We have chumash. Yeah, see situations where you open up a chumash and you got to do, Chabad, we have a minute to chitas. Every day you learn a pasuk. Sometimes you open it up and every page is like pushing 2,000 pounds. And you take a look at the long Rashis dealing with why Aaron, Moshe Rabbeinu was telling Aaron and Nadav and Avihu, they ate the chatas, they didn't eat the chatas, you shouldn't eat this and that, and you think, oh my, give me a headache. And you can't, and you just plow through it heavy. And there are days that you sit down and you're excited and you're full of pleasure and you're full of delight. And you see, what is Rashi going to say? And suddenly, like the Rashi is full of life, the Chumash is full of life, because your pleasure is there. And it's all, so pleasure is the key. The tainug is the key. The key to the opening and to the vitality and to the potency of all koiches hanefesh. Now, by the Eibishter, it's the same thing. God created the world, underlying there was a deep pleasure to create. Now, is that pleasure always visible in the product? Deep inside, I know if you're showing up to work, you're showing up to shul, whatever it is, I know you have a pleasure, or else you wouldn't come, you'd stay home. You come, you have a pleasure. So there's a pleasure there. The question is, how unearthed is that pleasure? How much is it in the background, or how much is it? But the Eibishter also. The Eibishter has a pleasure underlying his whole creative process. The question is, how much is that pleasure? Let's call that the lava, the underlying lava that's beneath the crust. A volcano, sometimes that lava comes gushing out. How much is that lava sensed in creation? Shabbos, for some reason, on Shabbos, the universe is filled with God's delight to create. It's sensed on Shabbos. And why is that? Because every hashpah is more intense at the end. Why? That one actually makes a lot more sense. Because whenever you're having hashpah, your pleasure is not on the medium steps. Your medium steps are, if you're running a marathon, let's say, you don't have pleasure in the let's say it's 25 miles. You don't have pleasure in the 18th mile, the 19th mile, even the first mile. It's not pleasurable. You want to do it, you're determined. The pleasure is when you're standing 1,000 feet before the everything is aching, but you're full of tainug that you did it, right? And this was the whole kavanah of why you were practicing and why you were doing everything from the beginning, was for this final moment that you can complete the job. That's where your tainug is. So that's why there's a certain energy at the very end of a hashpah, of every hamshacha, because since that's the purpose of what your pleasure is in the beginning, and the pleasure is your very being. You can almost say like this: without the pleasure element, it's your koiches working. It's like an autopilot. The koiches are working, but you yourself, you're not there, or you're there, but you're only semi there. When your pleasure gets involved, means you're fully there. And that's the tainug. The tainug is inseparable of the person himself. So on Shabbos, which is the conclusion of creation, when the Eibishter finishes creation, that's when the pleasure element is there. Let's read it inside. This is the reason the Gilui HaTainug Gibe Shabbos Dafke Shabbos. Ikar HaChayus V'Agdolas HaOr B'chol HaEseh. The main Chayus and the main increase of light in all the 10 Sfiros in Mebchenas HaTainug. It's all from the element of Tainug. Like by way of analogy from the koiches hanefesh ba'adam lamata, by human being down here below. The chayus that's in them and the increased koyach is through pleasure. You don't have the word seichel over here; it's on the bottom. To make a correction, the increase and the broadening of the mind, why they are tiny, is through pleasure. That you have in the idea, and therefore we find that halachically, the person should always study in the place that he has a desire. Chafetz means a place that you have tainug in. When your heart desires something, the person will have great innovation, great understanding. When you don't have the light, the mind will be very contracted and very constricted. And the broadening of the mind is dafka through pleasure. That's an intellect. The same is also in emotions. What makes the midah very, very expanded and intense? Is when you have pleasure in the emotion. It's like Avram Avinu, for example, who was an exemplar. He exemplified the midah of Kesser. His kindness was very, very great. What made his chesed so endless and so great was because he had pleasure in being kind. Avram Avinu's tainug was in kindness. What's the proof? Avram, after he had his Bris Mila, was very ill, and as a result of that, Hashem didn't want to disturb him with guests. So Hashem made it very hot, and no one was on the street. And as Avram Avinu was sitting in his house, and he couldn't do Achnasa Sarchim, he was guestless. So it caused him so much anguish. He had so much pain that he couldn't do time. He couldn't do chesed. Now the Rebbe says over here, that feeling of pain from not being able to do kindness to someone is not part of the essential properties of chesed. Chesed means someone needs help, you're there to help them. Whenever someone needs something, you're there to help them. Chesed means you want to take care of people. You want to when there's someone to take care of. When there's no one there that has a problem, why is it aching? Why is it hurting? That means that it's something much deeper than the actual nature of chesed itself. It's touching on your very you. Your very being is, your pleasure is in kindness. And when you don't have, the opposite of pleasure is pain. So when the kindness, which by Avraham Avinu was his tainug, was not available, it was irking and pressing on his very being, on his pleasure. The content of chesed by itself is that when there's someone that needs a hashpa, someone needs something, you'll give him. But a person should have pain on the lack of hashpa, is because he has tainug in the pleasure. And you're giving not only because of what kindness is calling, that there is a lacking, and I want to fill that lack. This gives me a tremendous delight that I could satisfy the need of someone. Where he explains this idea. Now, just like it. So you see from here, what did he prove right now? That tainug, pleasure, increases all the koiches hanefesh and expands them. The same is also above. The increasing and the broadening of the light in the 10 spheres, so why they tainug elyon, is through the supernal pleasure. The Kesser, and that's why we say an interesting thing, that Kesser is the mamutza, is the mediator, between the Orein Soif, which is the Ebish to the infinite light, the emanator, El Hanetzolim to the emanations. We say that Kesser is the mediator. It channels from the Orein Soif himself, the emanator, to the emanations. Why? Because Kesser is pleasure, is that level of tainug, pleasure. And just like in a human being, the medium between the essence of the person himself and his emanations and his koiches is through the medium of tainug. Because tainug is not the very you. Tainug is the first experience, if we can say, of you. But the real you is even deeper, is beyond tainug. It's not any experience. Etzva nefesh. But tainug is the closest to that. So the tainug, however, is what energizes all the midos. So the same as above. Kesser is the mamutza and the drive, the ratzon and the tainug behind all the midos. The drawing of the light from the emanator to the emanations, why they are tainug, is through the pleasure. Now we'll understand why Shabbos, the pleasure reaches its ultimate. And in the level of Malchus, Sham, who is Gabrus Hamshacha. What did we say before? That in Malchus is where the Hamshacha becomes very intensified. Why? Because it's the very end. Shamu Iker his Galus Atainug. That's why in Malchus is where there's the main revelation of pleasure. I'll give an example also in human experience. When someone, I'll talk about myself for a moment. I prepare a class. So you sit down, you learn the mimer. It's enjoyable to a certain degree. Sometimes it's a little like, oh, come on. How many pages is this? Whatever, and you're learning it, you're thinking it, and it can be exciting some points, some not. The real pleasure happens, and the intensity happens when you're actually giving it over. Because when you're giving it over, it's coming into malchus. Malchus is speech, communication. When it reaches that point of communication, that's when you suddenly get this tremendous adrenaline and excitement and pleasure and delight in that which, even though there's nothing new really over here, you're just passing it over. But that's where the taina comes. That's where the pleasure. That's where the koyach, where the highest, the primordial drive in the entire experience is revealed at the last point, which is the actual communication, which is the malchus. And that's what Shabbos as well. That's why Shabbos is a day full of einig. And that's why Shabbos is full of tainug. Like it says, you should call to Shabbos delight. Then you can delight Allah Hashem and Hashem. This is the pleasure that is shining in Malchus. As it says in Zohar, I didn't get a chance to look up this Zohar. I forgot to actually. I was looking up all the other Zohars that he mentions. I forgot to look up this one. So I can't tell you what it means. Something about the Rucha is the ispashtus of this Nekuda. So I can guess that the Nekuda is Tainug, is the pleasure, is Kesser. And the Rucha is the, in Malchus somehow, there is the hispashtus of this Nekuda. As it's explained at great length on the Maimer HaZoyar, which on this Maimer, which I guess there's a Maimer that's based on the Maimer HaZohar, this Maimer HaZohar. So this is all an introduction to tell us why Shabbos is taking us beyond time. Because once we see that Soif Maisa b'machshava tchila, that dafk in the end, not tchilos b'soifim, the beginning is wedged in the end. That means in Shabbos and Malchus is the hisgabrus of Tainug. Now Tainug is higher than what? Than the Midas. Tainug is part of the Or Ein Sof. Tainug is an expression of the Or Ein Sof. So it's higher than time and space. And that's the reason why Shabbos is linking us up to the primordial light that's higher than time. And that's why on Shabbos we enter into timelessness. And that's why when we drop from Shabbos back into Sunday, we're actually we're not continuing time, we're starting all over again, because we've been elevated to a place beyond time. These are also the elevations of Shabbos. Since this is the Soif Hashpa, which is in Malchus, so in the end, there is an Or Chayzer. It's going, that's what I mentioned earlier about the sunlight. It hits the bottom, it rebounds back. So now, in Shabbos, there is a returning. The energy returns back, where? To where it started from. To its very beginning. On Shabbos, we're elevated in a level that's higher than time. And the same is also two things. The Aliyah, and that's the difference between Shabbos night and Shabbos day. It's explained in different Member of Chassidus. Friday, we learned it this year. Friday night is an Aliyah. It's an elevation into pre-time, into pre-hishtalshalas. Shabbos day is a Hamshacha Sa'oneg. The light, more of a drawing down into the world, but what? A delight, a tainug that's beyond time. There's a difference between Aliyah and Hamshacha, which is not for discussion for right now, what the difference is between the two. And after Shabbos, time starts all over again. That's why we go back to count Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, as if it's totally something new. And this is the why 7 days are called the 7 days of Hekiv. Hekiv meaning it's going round and round. Because the Hamshacha, number one, because the Hamshacha of the Midos, as we said earlier, there's only 7 Midos, so it goes round and round and round. What goes around comes around. And the second reason is because Both the elevation is to a place that's beyond time, and then also when we're drawing down within time, we're bringing down an energy and an experience from beyond time, from Kesser that's higher than time. And but what comes out according to that? If Shabbos, if we're now establishing that what? That the reason why it's Shiva Semeya Hekef, especially according to the second reason, is because Shabbos takes us to what's higher than Ishtalshalos, higher than time. And that's where we're going back to time starting. And yet, that experience of Shabbos, which is higher than time, is what we call Soiviv Kalam. Time is Mamala Kalam, the indwelling light of God. Mamala, it's fixed. Soiviv means the encompassing light that has no beginning and no end. Ein Sof. Shabbos, we're connecting to that Soviv light. That's why, as we said, it's beyond time. Yet we're saying that what? Yet we're saying that that's still part of nature. The Shabbos is part of nature. It's part of the creation experience. 8, the number 8, we began that the Rashba says that number 8 is transcendental. So you have to say that the 8 is not only higher than the Mamalakal Alman, the energy, the specified energy in creation, but it's even higher than the transcendental or Soviv Kalam. Because even the Soviv Kalam is part of the experience of Shabbos. And number 8 is beyond that. Lefizeh comes out, even something that's higher than time, even what's called the encompassing element of God. That too is included in the 7 days of Hekef that go round and round. However, the 8th dimension, Lamayla Mashiva, is higher than 7. Just like the 7 is higher than 6. As we just explained why the 7th is so special. That it connects to the primordial dimension, what precedes it all, and so forth. So just like 7 is higher than 6, and as we say, Kol Hashvi and Chavivin, and as Chazal say, they're all the 7th one, are always super precious, B'shanim, in years, Shana Hashvi Shmita. In years, the 7th year is Shmita. B'chadashim, and in months, B'chodesh Hashvi. That means every 7th year is a special year. And in months, what's the most special month in the year that has the most holidays? Tishrei. Tishrei is the 7th month. B'chodesh Hashvi, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippurim, and Sukkot, and whatever. So you see 7 is special. And we also know that Moshe Rabbeinu was the most special from all the tzaddikim. And the 7th tzaddik of the 7th generation currently, who's supposed to bring the Shekhinah down to the world, is also the most precious of all tzaddikim. That's the Inyan. Always the 7, Kol Hashvi and Chavivin. But the 8th is higher than 7. We're soon going to see that in the 7th, there is the 8th that's in the 7th. We'll soon see that. Moshe Rabbeinu is the highest, doesn't get higher than him, and also the 7th tzaddik of the 7 tzaddikim, which is the power of the light of Mashiach, is also, there's nothing higher than that. But we find that he's soon going to explain that the 7, that in Shabbos there is the number 8 as well, we're going to see soon. But that's not, it doesn't belong to Shabbos, it's something beyond Shabbos, but yet it manifests in Shabbos. We'll leave that in a moment. For now, 7 is very high, but 8 is beyond that. 8th dimension is beyond. V'oimer the Shemini, and it says, and what does the Rashba say? The Shemini hu shomer es ha'hekef. Shemini is shomer, it's the guardian of the 7 days of Hekef, of the Vayehe. What does that mean? So he explains. The 7, what did we say before? There are 7 midos. What are 7 midos? The emanations. Hashem emanated light. He emanated. Emanations are 7. So what's beyond the 7 that protects the 7? The emanator. That's called the atzmi. There's the oyer and there is the etzem. The etzem protects the oyer because when the sun goes down, there are no sun rays. When there is no etzem, there is no oyer. The oyer is dependent on the etzem. And that's why the etzem is called the shomer of the hekef. Hainu masha atzmi shomer es hagiluyim. This, that the etzem, the atzmi, the essence, guards and protects the Giluyim, all the revelations. All the Giluyim that are there is when it's Giluy of the Etzem. So therefore, the Giluyim are only there, the emanations are only there when there is the Atzmi. Ukamoi, Oir HaShemesh, the light of the sun. Udavke kisheyesh etzem HaShemesh is davke when there is the essence of the sun. Avol kasher HaShemesh nishka, but when the sun sets, lo yesha oir v'aziv, there is no light and there is no ray. V'zeu she'etzem shomer es ha'giluy. This is the meaning that the essence guards the giluy. V'zeh inyan shomer es ha'hekef. So what are we saying now? If we're saying 8 is beyond all the emanations, means that the 8 represents the etzem. And etzem over here means the essence of God, as much as we can say. The etzem of the Eibishter. And that's why the Mila of 8 is incomparably higher than the Mila of 7. And that's the idea of Bris Mila, that which mitzvah is related to the 8th day, next week's parsha. This week is called Shemini, and next week's parsha is Parshas Tazria, Bayom Shemini, Yimalas Pesar Elos. We come again to number 8. Why? Because Shemini, Tazria, these are all the parshas related to Chodesh Nisan. There's all transcendental lights, all from the 8th day, and so on and so forth. So all these parshas. Bris Mila is what? What's the covenant between Hashem and the Jewish people expressed through the Bris Mila? It's that our connection to God has nothing to do with emanations. We're not connected from our intellect. We're not connected from our emotions. We're connected from our very being. And who are we connecting to? Not to the Eibishter's artistic talents, not to the Eibishter's professional self. We as Jews connect etzem to etzem, essence to essence. That's why it's performed on the 8th day, because number 8 is beyond Giluyim, it's beyond revelations, it's etzem. For Indian Mila b'Shemini, there's the idea of Mila, of Bris Mila, that's on the 8th day. Ad sheyavet olav Shabbos achas, which we say, and it's emphasized. The reason why Chazal say Mila's on the 8th day, we have to pass Shabbos. Hainu l'mayla ma Shabbos. Yavar, meaning it has to transcend Shabbos, not just passing in time. It goes beyond the holiness of Shabbos. Which, by the way, take a look at the parshiyos. Shemini, this week is number 8. Tazria B'Tzaira, Bayom Shemini, Yimoil, Spesar Elosai, number 8. Next parsha is Achrei Mois Kedoshim. And what is the parsha Achrei Mois? Begin with Bezois Yavai Aaron HaKodesh. Aaron HaKodesh. With this mitzvah, Aaron should come El HaKodesh to the Holy of Holies. Chazal say, with what mitzvah? Bezois, with the Bris Mila that's called Zois Ois HaBris. Again, parshas Achrei. Again, number 8. See how the 8s are lining up. And now we're entering actually into the Tafshin Pei. We're now in Tafshin Ayin Tez. We're going into the Peis. We're going into the 8. 7s were spectacular. 7s were spectacular. You can say you were here in the first class that this Wolf guy started talking about the 8s. Because I was busy with the 7s lining up. But 7 is still purification, getting the world ready for Mashiach. That's number 7. It's all, especially 770, 777. That's when all the miracles started happening in the world. If you listen to everybody has to listen to today's class. I gave it today. It's to take a look at what's going on in the world today. It's unbelievable stuff. But in any case, that's all still Tikkun Olam. Number 8 is already the Giluyim of Yemais Mashiach, totally transcendental, nothing to do with the world anymore. It's beyond. And that's number 8. But Akapana, what does it say? But now we're hitting all the 8th notes. Parsha Shemini, Tazria Mitzayra, Achrei Mois. Yeah. It's stated in the Medrash Rabbah, Pasuk Bezois Yavai Aaron Ala Kodesh. The merit of Mila went in with him. What is that? Because what's the schus of Mila? What's so good about Mila? Mila involves the idea of peeling away. You have to peel away that which is the klipa. You have to peel away what's covering. And that's avoida. Avoida, it's our avoida. Umaltem. You have to make a Mila. You have to rip away. And and what does that do? Without avodah, the Eibishter is also here, and the Eibishter will also be in your life, and so on and so forth. But it's all the chitzanias. It's all what? It's all the Giluyim. It's all the revelations. We don't create Shabbos. We were invited into a world that Shabbos is here already. What do we do on Shabbos? Is we have to observe it. We shouldn't ruin it. Shmartem Asayim Shabbos. But the Shabbos is Migdash of Akaim, it's here. But A represents already Avodah Sa'adam. Our Avodah to peel away, to fight the klippas, to fight that which is obscuring and blocking. Peeling away, that Avodah exposes us or reveals the essence. Through this that we burrow through relentlessly, through all the halamis, through all the concealments and all the blockages. Shabbos is called what? Shabbos is called Shabbos Kodesh. But there's still, and in the Beis HaMikdash, there was a place called the Oyel Moed, which is called Kodesh. Kodesh is holy. But even when you're a Kodesh, you're still facing a partition. There's still a pareiches. Past the Kodesh, there is Kodesh HaKadoshim. Kodesh HaKadoshim is what? That's the essence. So in order to go into the Kodesh HaKadoshim, the Heichal, you can go in on Shabbos. Actually, that's when they did the Lechem Apanim on Shabbos. Shabbos is shaykh to Kodesh, to the Heichal. But to the Kodesh HaKadoshim, you can't go in on Shabbos. Only Shabbos, Shabbosai. And for that, you need Bezois Yaveh Aaron al Kodesh. You have to peel away the Orla. And when you peel away the Orla, you move away the Pareiches. And you allow to go into the Kodesh HaKadosh, which is holier than Shabbos. The Avodas HaParas, some of Sekes Ben HaKodesh Ben Kodesh HaKadoshim. The Kodesh HaKadoshim, the Holy of Holies, Ulamailam HaKodesh, is higher than Kodesh. The Shabbos Upchinas Kodesh, Shabbos is Kodesh. Kamei Shekasav, like it says, Ushmartem Es HaShabbos, Ki Kodesh. You should observe Shabbos because it's holy. Kodesh HaKadoshim Ulamailam says, holier than that. And that's the reason why Mila, we say, we pass Shabbos, because it's a madrega that's higher than Shabbos. It's going to the 8th dimension. It's going to Uz Yashir, the Aleph that's above the 7. The Yash B'Shat. Now, we're saying that really, in truth, Shabbos also has, remember I told you earlier that the 7th, really, hidden in the 7th is all the highest madregas, but it's hidden in it. Because you see it in Shabbos as well. Yesh b'Shabbos ga madregezu. And Shabbos there is also this madrega. For who inyan matana toive yesh li bebeis genozai. The Eibishter says, I have a matana. Bebeis genozai. What does bebeis genozai mean? In my inner treasure. And what's that big gift? That's Shabbos. What do you mean it's a gift that's in your inner treasure? Shabbos, the Eibishter put it out there in the world. 6 days. It's not in his inner treasure. The answer is Shabbos has many madrigas. There is Shabbos of creation, Shabbos of Bereshis. That's one level of Shabbos. Then there is, and that's the Shabbos of creation. On that we're told, Ushmartem es Shabbos. Don't ruin it. You don't do anything. Just don't ruin it. It's a holiness that's there. Then the Eibishter says, "Come on, Yidalach. You're so special. Zachar es Yom HaShabbos lekatchay. That Shabbos that is already holy, Zachar es Yom HaShabbos lekatchay, you make it holier." That's the second madrega of Shabbos. That we take what is holy already and we make it holier. Zachar es Yom HaShabbos lekatchay. That's the avodah of Yidden to add kedusha in Shabbos, and that comes through all the davening of Shabbos and all the spiritual avodah that a Yid does. And he elevates Shabbos to make Shabbos more than Shabbos was. But then there's a third madrega in Shabbos. Matana toiva, a gift that comes from above. It's not part of Shabbos Bereshis. The Eibishter gives a gift. And what's Beis Genazai? Beis Genazai is Kodesh HaKadoshim. Beis Genazai, it's hidden. It's in the inner place. That third madrega, that's Kodesh HaKadoshim. Shabbos Kodesh. Zachar es Yom HaShabbos lekatchay, still Kodesh. Kodesh HaKadoshim, that's Matana Toiva Yesh Li. It's there also. So you see that number 7 really contains that as well. That's why he's going to explain in the Maayon. Why am I emphasizing this so much? because he's going to explain in the Maimer how Moshe Rabbeinu, the whole power of the Yom HaShemini, which is this dimension, Kodesh HaKadoshim, and so on and so forth, in order to activate that, Moshe had to be the one doing it. Without Moshe, fangt sich gar nicht done, nothing is happening. Where do we find that? That's why it says, Vayehe Bayom HaShemini, Kora Moshe. Moshe called La'aron. Vayehe Bayom HaShemini, Vayom HaMoshe. Moshe said, Kora Moshe has to call Aaron and his sons. Because to activate this holiness, only from Moshe. Moshe is the seventh. Kol HaShvi and Chavivin. Moshe is only the seventh. He's like a seven, and seven is much lower. In a sense, you might say Aaron is higher, because Aaron wears 8 begadim. And Moshe is only the 7th. The answer is that in Moshe, just like Shabbos has within it this madrega as well, matana tova. So Moshe Rabbeinu also, even though he's the 7th, has within him all the madregas to the highest of the high. And it applies to our Moshe as well, the 7th generation. Basi Lagani, the Rebbe kept on saying that he's the 7th generation. But in him is everything, everything. Lamaila, maila, 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 Allah Sadarnda, as we're going to see. Okay. Can you do as it is known to Shabbos? Yesh Gimel Madregas, this 3 Madregas in Shabbos. Number 1 is what Shabbos is holy. You don't have to do anything, you just can't ruin the Shabbos, as we said earlier. That's the Lamates Malachas. In a sense, you can say, keeping Shabbos, like the story Shlomo Carlebach says about the guy who kept Shabbos and the Baal Shem Tov went to see him, and I don't know, besides Shlomo Carlebach, I haven't seen another source of the story, but it's interesting. He speaks about this fellow who the Baal Shem Tov came to see him, or not the Baal Shem Tov, the Baal Shem Tov sent someone to go spend Shabbos, and this I think he says that to see the worst kind of Shmira Shabbos. The Baal Shem Tov sent it to someone. It was a person who literally was sitting like this, and he didn't move a limb because he was afraid he's going to be Machal Shabbos. So he sat the entire Shabbos like this. He didn't do anything, Then it's a whole opposite. He sent him to see the higher Shabbos. The Ganset says, you can see it's a Shlomo Carlebach story. It's Gavaldi. But in any case, it's true. There is the holiness of Shabbos. And the holiness of Shabbos, but that's the to be as, someone whose entire Shabbos is just a Mishnah Berurah. It's good, but that's Shabbos. That's Shmartimus of Shabbos. Now, you learn Chassidus on Shabbos. And daven, sing, learn Chassidus, get into, create. That's really the next Madrega of Shabbos. Zocher es Yom HaShabbos. Make it into a Chassidus Shabbos. Full of light, full of simcha, full of or. Infuse the Shabbos with that higher vitality. And then comes Suda Shlishis, Raiva de Raiva, and that's Matana Toiva Sheyeshli. That's the ultimate gift that the Eibishter gives us on Shabbos. Masha Kosuv, Abeis, Masha Kosuv, Yom HaShabbos, the Kacha de Yisroel, Makachim as Shabbos, V'zel B'chinas Kodesh. V'Gimel on the 3rd level, as Masha Aman Azal, what Chazal say, Maton Toiva, good gift, Yeshli, Bebeis Genaz, I have in my Kamosh Kosuv Makamachar, stated elsewhere. U'B'chinas Kodesh HaKadosh, Mula Mailam, B'chinas Shabbos, B'chinas Kodesh. So, we say Kodesh HaKadoshim is higher, we mean higher than the ordinary level of Shabbos. In Shabbos itself, as he said earlier, there is an Inyan of Kodesh HaKadoshim. Now we're just going back. The regular Madrega of Shabbos, however, is the first 2 levels of Shabbos. Shabbos that's holy on its own, or maybe even what we add to Shabbos. That's the Kedusha of Shabbos. Kodesh HaKadoshim is higher than Shabbos. U'b'schus ha-Mila dafka. And dafka in the merit of Mila, nichnas l'Kodesh HaKadoshim. He was able to go into the Kodesh HaKadoshim mishum the Mila b'Shmini, because Mila is in the 8th day. Hainu. So earlier he said it has to do with the idea that Mila, it's connected to the idea of Mila, because Mila you're removing the partition. Which partition are you removing? The partition that's between Kodesh and Kodesh HaKadoshim. You're removing that. That's the pulling away of the Arla. Which means through a person fighting and getting rid of the Halamas Vesterim, you reach a very high level. You reach transcendental light. Awesome. Not even transcendental light. You're reaching the essence. But now he's adding, but why tak is that on the 8th day? What does that have to do with number 8? And the answer is, because Mishun Mila B'Shmini. Hainu b'chinas melech Shemini Hadar. This takes us to a story that there is in the end of Parshas Vayishlach. In the end of Parshas Vayishlach, it mentions the kings of Edom, the ancient kings of Edom. And it mentions there are 7 kings over there, and all of them reigned and they died, they reigned and they died, they were kings and they died. And finally it mentions there was the 8th king, and his name was Hadar. And his wife's name was Mahatabel, and the name of the city was Pa'u. And by him it doesn't say that he dies. So in Kabbalah it says that this is referring to these ancient kings, or referring to the entire primordial world that existed, that collapsed. 7 Malchim Kadmon, the 7 kings that collapsed. This is going all the way back in Adam Kadmon, in primordial man, and its levels beyond. But the 8th king is from Yesod. That's the shorish of Yosef, it says. Yosef HaTzadik. And we're going to see soon that Moshe Rabbeinu was also rooted in that level. That's a level that's beyond Toyu and Tikkun. It's beyond the collapse. And that's where we're the 8th, that's the 8th king. That's where number 8 relates to. B'chinas Yesod the Adam Kadmon, it's the level of Yesod of Ak, B'chinas Pnimius Ak, the innermost of Adam Kadmon. The Chol HaGiluyim, all revelations that there is Bichlal and Oilamos in the world, the whole process of creation, and all the revelations that there are, Hem B'chinas Malchus the Adam Kadmon, are only from the last level of Adam Kadmon, the Malchus element of Adam Kadmon. Shezeh B'chinas Chitzonius, which is only the Chitzonius. As stated in Lakuti Torah, which we've learned already. Hope it's online. Definitely learned it many years ago. But I forgot it already, so it's good that it's online. Hopefully I can listen to it one day. And so too Yovel. But the 8th day touches upon the 8th king, which is, there's no shvir over it, as we said earlier, that's the Yesod of Ak, it's the Pnimius of Adam Kadmon. V'chein Yovel, and that's why we find that just like Bris Mila is on the 8th, another time when we're feeling that there's some kind of an energy that's Ein Sof, that's beyond, is the Jubilee year, Yovel. And when is that? That's also the 8th, because it comes after 49 years, 7 times 7. That's number 8. V'chein Yovel hu b'Shemini, and we know Yovel is so powerful, it sets everybody free. It restores everything to its pristine beginning and start. That's why all fields go back to their owner. Everybody's free. No one can be enslaved. It breaks all shackles and all chains. The Tchila Hanzayin Shemitah is Mem Teshan. And first you have 7 Shemitah years, 7 sabbaticals, which are 49 years. The Yovel Shnasa Chamishim, and then you have the Yovel year, which is the 50th year, Ubchina Shemini, which is the 8th. Ukamoi Ken Shavuos. And then we also have Shavuos. Hula'achar Sfira Zayin Shavuos is after counting 7 weeks. Shemem Tes Yamim, which are 49 days. Achikach b'Shavuos, and afterwards on Shavuos Gilui Shara Nun the Bina, the revelation of the 50th gate of Bina. Shavuos is also that way. What's Shavuos so special? Matan Torah, Noichi Hashem Elokecha. It's the revelation of God Himself. Where does it come after 7 times 7, 49 days? Shavuos is really the 8th. And that's why over here, now he concludes his beer. That's why over here, even though there was only Shivas Yemei Amaluyim, why is it called Bayom Hashmini? And the answer is, Bayom Mazeh Dafka Hoya Gilui Ashchina. Dafka on this day was Gilui Shchina. Hoya Bayom Hashmini, because it was on the 8th day. The 8th day provided and enabled that this day should be Gilui Shchina. In other words, why does the pasuk have to say Vayehe Bayom Hashmini? Because the pasuk is now going to give an explanation. Why was it that on this day, Kvoid Hashem Nira Aleichem, that the glory of God will be such great Gilui Elokus? That's because it's the 8th day. And the 8th day is so powerful. Why do you need dafka such a high? I know 8th day is very high. Why do you dafka need the 8th day for what's going to happen Bayom Hashmini? Why do you dafka need the 8th day for what's going to happen Bayom Hashmini? And the answer is, Bayom Hashmini broke all, what happened on that day broke all barriers. What did it break? It broke the barrier of Elyonim and Tachtonim. There's a general rule in creation that Elyonim remain up there and Tachtonim remain down here. There's a certain limit of where you can bring holiness and where holiness cannot arrive. Certain restrictions, certain things that are set and etched in the very fabric of creation, the very fabric of the universe, and that things are certain set that you can't. The chiddush of the Bayom Shemini was Gilui Elokus ba'odam hazeh hagashmi, godly revelation of the physical world. That is the greatest novelty, and that is impossible. In order to do such an impossible thing, it cannot come from the revelations that all the dimensions that we spoke earlier, the holiness of Shabbos, and it can't do it. You have to get to God's, to the level of Yom HaShmini, of Kodesh HaKadoshim, and Dafka that is able to break and bring Giloi down here to the world. To understand this, he's going to take us right full circle to Basi Lagani. You bring us to the Maimer Basi Lagani, the idea of Basi Lagani, in which we speak about our 7 tzaddikim who bring the Shekhinah down to the world. And the 7th one is Moshe Rabbeinu. And the Chazal say that Moshe Rabbeinu accomplished way more than all the tzaddikim before him. Avram, Yitzchak, great. Because they were just bringing the Shekhinah from heaven to heaven. Bringing a Shekhinah down into a heaven is a huge accomplishment. But it's something that is fathomable. To bring the Shekhinah down here in this world is unfathomable. And that's what Moshe Rabbeinu did. And that was accomplished today in COL. I saw, where was it? A new Chabad house opened up in Kayu, Japan. A new place, something like that. Kayu. What's that? That's Gilui Shechina Lamata Ba'odam hazeh hagashmi in the entire world. That's a whole new phenomenon. That's Bayom Shemini. That's already Hoiradas Hashchina Lamata Ba'aretz. Every place in the world. Lazan Getlachkeit. Elokus. Chapayid, in the middle of nowhere, and get him to be connected to Atzmos and Mahos by putting on tefillin. Not in some mystical spiritual world. He's going to the rest of the Maimer, he's going to explain. First, he's going to spend a nice part of the Maimer explaining the chiddush of Avram Avinu, what Avram Avinu accomplished. But he's going to say with all the accomplishment, it basically brought the Eibishter into Atzilus. It's called bringing him from the 7th heaven to the 6th heaven. And even though later other tzaddikim brought further, it's still all in heaven. The bigger chiddush is to bring the Eibishter into the concrete, like it's going to be when Mashiach comes. That the same kedusha that there is in Atzilus is going to be in our physical hands. Our physical hands are going to be kalim to the Eibishter in the same way like the spheres of Atzilus are. That's a chidush nifla, and that's accomplished through Torah mitzvahs after Matan Torah. And who brought this to us was Moshe Rabbeinu's koyach, culminating in Mashiach Tzidkeinu. And that's the chiddush, and that's the Vayehe Bayom Shemini, that you need that power. Okay, so let's read a little further, then we'll take a little break. A beer in an explanation of the matter is the Isa Medrash Rabbit stated in Medrash. Betchila briyaseh shel olam, in the beginning when the Eibishter created the world, ikar shechina betachtainam haisa, the main shechina was dwelling down here below. Vazayin doiros, and then there came 7 wicked generations. Silku es shechina lamayla, they chased the shechina upward. Mizayin rekiyim chased him away from up higher and higher till he ascended beyond the seventh rakia. Then came 7 generations. Shemshichu gilui hashchina, they brought down the shechina. Avram Avinu brought the shechina down from the 7th heaven down to the 6th. Ad Amram, until Amram he brought him down. I think it's, the 7th rakia from up down. Avram Avinu brought the Eibishter from rakia echad to rakia beis. He's counting Aleph, Beis, Gimel, Daled, Hey, Zayin from Rekia Echad is the highest, going down. From Avram until Amram Aridu Hashchina Ad Rekia Hasamach La'aretz. They brought the Shechina down to the Rakia, to the firmament that's closest to earth. But Dafka Moshe Rabbeinu had that ability to bring the Shechina down from heaven to earth. Avram Avinu's main Hamshacha was above. When we say that he brought it down into the Rakia, means that he added more light in the world of Atzilus itself. So what does that mean that he added light in Atzilus? That's fantastic. He increased the light of Atzilus. But the fact that it remained in Atzilus, that shows him the limitation of it. Now I was going to explain. Why do the 10 spheres need to add light to them. Why do we need to add light to them? So he's going to explain inherently what is the inherent state of Atzilus. The lights of the 10 spheres of Atzilus are called in Zohar the secret of God's name. They're only names of the Eibishter. The lights of Atzilus, they're only the Eibishter's names. And by the way of analogy, Shema Adam, the name of a human being. Now, he's using analogy of the idea of a name. What's the idea of a name? A name is something that you don't need for yourself. A name represents, it's a communicator, it's something which is necessary for communication to others. Since the world of Atzilus and all the spheres of Atzilus are called the secret of God's name, it means that the Eibishter in and of itself, without a creation, doesn't need it. The fact that it's only a utility for the outside shows that it's a chitzoniistic inyan. And because it's a chitzoniistic inyan, we can understand that it needs light. It needs increased light. Because every chitzoniistic inyan, you want to pull more energy into it. As first he's going to establish that Atzilus is not something, the spheres of Atzilus are not for the Eibishter be'etzem. Derech Mashal, as he gives an example, Shema Adam Ein Alei Atzmai, the name of a person is not for himself. Kiyam Lazulase, only for others. Sheyikra Oisei B'Shemai, they should call him in his name. Kamoi Ken Inyan Esa Spheres L'mayla, so to the Inyan of the 10 spheres above. Hurakli is Bechinas Makar, L'Makar de Biyah. The point of the Esa Spheres is only that they should be a source of a source to Bria, Yetzir, and Asiyah. It's a source to a source. Atzilus is very high, very lofty, but it's at least a source. It serves as a medium and a source for actual creation, for Bria, Tzir, and Asiyah. The B'chinas Esa Spheres Ba'atzilus, because unlike, usually we think of the 10 spheres like our 10 koiches. A human being has 10 koiches. The makeup of a human being's koiches is 10 koiches. But by us, our koiches make up our identity. What makes your personality? That's who you are. And we very much pride ourselves or identify and see ourselves with who we are. This is me. My intellect, my emotions, and so on and so forth. It's very much part of a person's personal shleimus. You can say his person's perfection is his koiches hanefesh. But the Eibishter, the koiches are only for the world. All of that. Midais, for sure, but even the intellect, which generally is something for a person's private, but the Eibishter, the whole intelligence, the whole concept of seichel and infinite wisdom and all of that, it's only for his relationship with the world. He himself is Ein Sof, beyond even the concept of wisdom, of seichel. The B'chinas Esa Spheres B'Atzilus Eina Kamei Koiches V'Adam is not like the koiches of a person, Lamat. The Seichel Amidos and La'atzmai. We're holding on page Reish Ayin Aleph, a little more than halfway down the page. The line begins with the words the Seichel Amidos. The Seichel Amidos Ein La'atzmai. Seichel and Amidos are for a person himself. The Mohus V'Atzmis Adam, the very substance and the essence of a person. Kol in Yana Yushayesh Le Seichel. A person, Seichel Lahask. The whole, that thing of a person is intellect. Lahaska B'chol Devar Muskol. He can learn, he can study, he can appreciate things. V'cheina Midais, and even the Midais Hen La'atzmai, also for himself. Even though Midais are a way in which you have to Midas, the whole structure of Midas is your emotions, your relationship to something outside of you, things you love, things that you're excited about, things you're passionate about, things you love, things you dislike, you dislike. That's your Midas. So it's you, not privately, you in relationship to things, but yet that's very much part of how you describe yourself, your very identity. A person very much says, these are my friends. These are my friends. I mean, look up, and usually when a person says, these are my friends, you want to know what kind of person I am. These are the people I hang around with. Which means that makes me who I am. Well, these are the things I'm into. I love reading. I love this. I love nature. I love exploring. I love astronomy. It's your relationship to something other, but that's what making you. It's with the attachment of others to you, but it's also making up your value of who you are and what you are. It's for a person himself. As it is known, the ikari and hergish atzmai, the main sense of self, in seichel, in midas even more than seichel, you feel yourself. Self-awareness is in a person's midas. By the Eibishter, see, by us, he's drawing a parallel. By the Eibishter, by us, not only our seichel is for ourselves, even our midas, which is in communication with others, is also something that is for ourselves. But by the Eibishter is the opposite. Not only is the midas of Hashem totally for the sake of the world, he doesn't need it, and essentially he doesn't have it. He emanated them just for the sake of the world. But even intellect, which is so private and so much more personal, that too is only l'tzayrach olamais. Even chachma bina ain't only atzma, is not for himself. Ki l'tzayrach olam is for the sake of the world. The b'chinas chachma bina, like it's stated elsewhere. Chachma bina agam shekadmu li'olam, even though they precede the world, that means they're higher than the world. It's not like the 6 days, like the midas, which sheishes yamim asa Hashem. The 6 days, the energy of the 6 days, they make up the fabric of creation. But the midas are beyond, but the moichin, chachma bina is kadma li'olam. Harei u'makom makom l'tzayrach ha'olam, that for the sake of the world. You hear this? Even the highest level of yediyah, where the Eibishter knows himself, like the Rambam says, "B'yediyas atzma yediyah kol hanevraim." Even that yediyah is only for the sake of the creations, because to say on him yediyah that he's a yediyah something, that's a limitation. He's beyond even that yediyah for be'etzem for himself. In order that there eventually should be an inyan of yediyah in the world, so first he knows, and the highest level of that knowing is for himself. He emanates, so to speak, an inyan of yediyah where he knows himself. And then from that yediyah comes much lower levels of yediyah until it becomes the yediyah of the world, in which he knows a lower, right? But it's all at tzayrach olamas. But Kamaimer, as it says, and where do we know that the whole concept of 10 spheres is only for the sake of the world? It says, Antu da pikas eser tikunin, you Eibishter, you have emanated 10 tikunin, which are all the spheres, including all 10, not just the lower 7, all 10. And what does the Yohan Navi say? In order to conduct the affairs of the world. In order that there should be chachma in the world of Bria. Now he's going to explain specifically how the spheres are l'tzayrach ha'olamais for the sake of the world. For instance, in order that there should be chachma in the world of Bria, the Yetzirah, at seichel anushi, until we get down to human intelligence, lamata below, b'shvil zeh netzal b'chinas chachma da'atzilus. It's for this sake the Eibishter emanated within himself a chachma of atzilus. Even though chachma of atzilus is infinitely beyond the chachma even of bria, kolshkin seichel anushi, way for sure human intelligence. Hagam sharachik erech ma'oid b'chinas chachma debiyah. Even though it is so far and incomparably insignificant, the chachma of bria, yetzira, and asiya, the 3 levels of chachma, legabe chachma da'atzilus compared to the chachma of atzilus, hu b'chinas makar lemakar, but he's still a makar to a makar. It's a source. The atzmus, because without chachma of atzilus, he's not even a makar. The atzmus ain't soif, ain't begeder chachma klal. Because the essence of the Ein Sof is not within the context of Chachma at all. Hagam shematzelo b'chinas ha-Chachma, even though he emanates Chachma, so we would say, if he emanates Chachma, he must have Chachma, right? So he says, no. Hinei al zeh omar antu chakim v'loi b'chachma yediyah. You are a chakim, but not, meaning you don't have the chisaron of not having Chachma. But you can't say in the Eibishter himself prior to the Chachma of Atzilus that he's identified by the definitions of Chachma. He doesn't have that at all. He just does not, he's not lacking what Chachma brings, and therefore, when he chooses, he can emanate the Chachma. But it's not that he has Chachma inside of him. The Chachma d'Atzilus, Chachma Yediyah. It's a definable Chachma. It's a revealed Chachma. Basically, it means he's mushlal, he's removed from the inyan of Chachma. Again, what is this all bringing us to one inyan? He wants to say how the entire idea of 10 spheros is only Hashem's name. It's only l'tzairach oilumos. It's for the sake of the world. Maybe it's Baruch Sha'amar, I'm not sure. I'm not, where he explains that difference between seichel ne'elam and seichel mufla. So in order that there should be a makar in Elokus, a source in the divine for Chachma, the Eibishter emanated the 10 spheros, liyos bechinas makar libiyah, that they should serve as a makar, a source, a makar for Bria Tzir and Asir. And this is what it says in the pasuk: Ki imcha makar hachayim, with you is the source of life. Ba'orcha nira'or, with your light we will see light. So he teaches like this: Nira'or, we will see light, is all of our experiences, our chachma, our love. We have love. Actually, Av is gematria 2 times the Ur. Love is an energy, it's light. Chachma is called light. That's called Ur, that's our light. In order that we should see light, we should have all these experiences. Ba'orcha, first you have to have them. It's your light. That's the light of Atzilus. And that whole world of Ba'orcha is ki'imcha, that Ba'orcha world, which is the source, that's called Makar Chayim. It's the source of, it's the Makar for our experiences of life down here. And that's the Ba'orcha, it's only Hashem's light, it's not you. And that's why we say Ki'imcha. It's not you, it's with you is Makar Chayim. Because you, Eibishter himself, Atzmos Amatzel, you can't say he's a Makar. Because how is he a makar if he's not? He's mushlal completely from any inyan of chachma, midos, malch, dibur, machshava, any experience that with ratzon, tainuk. The Eibishter is mushlal from all these inyanim. Be'etzah. Mushlal meaning removed. He's abstract. He doesn't have all these inyanim. So imcha, with you, makar chayin, that's the world of Atzilus. Ba'orcha, through that light that's in Atzilus, nira'or, we see light. So you see that the whole inyan of Ba'orcha is kedei nira'or, that we should see light. So Atzilus is only here for the sake of furthering creation. The chol mashen esava ba'olam is biyah, because all that was created in the lower world is biyah. Makar achayim hu bebchenas Atzilus. The makar of it is an Atzilus. Umashen nira'or bebiyah, and this that we see light in Bria Tzir and Asiyah, hu ba'orcha bebchenas ha'or da Atzilus. Is through the light of Atzilus. There's only a ray. Now, in order that there should be such a ray from the Eibishter, once we've established that it's rachik from the Eibishter, he needs it. He emanated it for the sake of the world. He's now going to say, well, in order for it to come about, it came about through powerful tzimtzum. It's so far from the Eibishter's truth of who he is. So to create that makar achayim, the Eibishter has to go through a series of tremendous tzimtzumim to his light. This is all an introduction. Let's not lose the train of thought. This is all an introduction to explain why, through Avodah, Avram Avinu added light in Atzilus. Since Atzilus comes into existence through powerful tzimtzumim and contractions, so we can understand that in order to increase the light, you have to burrow through these tremendous tzimtzumim. And that's the avodah of Avram Avinu, that he burrowed through these tzimtzumim to increase the light of Atzilus 10-fold, 100-fold, 1,000,000-fold, whatever it is that he did. However, the shortcoming of Avram Avinu is that he was only able to add that light in Atzilus and not in this world. To add the light in this world needed Moshe Rabbeinu, and that's the theme of the Maimer. See, I don't want to lose the Maimer with all the details. Sometimes we get lost in the details. So remember the theme of the Maimer. The Maimer is going to explain why you needed Moshe Rabbeinu, why you needed Bayom Shemini to accomplish what was done, and that's through the power of Moshe. And that was the dafka, because he's going to explain Avram Avinu was Mamshech Or, but only in Atzilus. And He's explaining now why Atzilus needs to be mamshech, because it's not Eibishter himself. It's only l'tzorech olam. And as we're seeing right now, as he's going to introduce right now, it comes about through many tzimtzumim. And this ha'ara, who are they tzimtzum atzum, through a powerful tzimtzum and ba'orin tzayf baruch hu and the orin tzayf. Turn over the page Reishayim base. Liyos b'chenas Atzilus, to bring about the world of Atzilus. As it says in the pasuk, nifla oisecha umachshav oisecha. Nifla oisecha is your wonders and your thoughts. Eleinu is to us. There's a pasuk nifla oisecha. It's a pasuk in Tehillim. Nifla oisecha umachshav oisecha eleinu. Now I don't remember how we translate that in Lakuti Torah. Either nifla oisecha is referring to chachma. Chachma is called nifla ois. Malashana a'alefcha chachma. Machshav oisecha is bina. That means Chachma and Bina, Eleinu, is only for our sake. Or even higher than that. Niflaisecha is Peleh, Meloshin is Kesser. Machshavaisecha is then, Machshav is then Chachma and Bina. But whatever it is, these spheres are only Eleinu to us. The Tzaydecha Olamais. Ein aroicha lecha. They have no erech. The pasuk says, Niflaisecha Machshav Eleinu ein aroich, I think it says. It has no erech to you. To you itself, Eibishter, it has no value at all. It's insignificant. Agida v'adabeira. In order to make it be, agida needs to be drawn. Atzmu mesaper. The pasuk says, agida v'adabeira atzmu mesaper. If I am to relate it and to speak it is too much, too numerous. The deeper meaning is, to be mamshechit, atzmu mesaper, there's too many tzimtzumim from us to be able to relate. So many contractions and contractions and contractions and contractions, a series of endless contractions, to be able to produce the makar chayim, not even the chayim, and not the world. The makar chayim to the world comes through unbelievable amounts of tzimtzumim. Shetzarech li is ribuy tzimtzumim, and many tzimtzumim liyos b'chenas neflaisecha machshavaisecha eleinu, which are here for the sake of us. Like it says, v'chachma me'ayin timatze, that even chachma comes me'ayin from nothing. It's an estate b'chenas yesh me'ayin. It's not a continuum from what was before. It's as if mamish something new out of nothing. That's how far chachma is from the Eibishter himself. And this is the idea of the 10 spheres. They're called only the secret of God's name, which a name means a communication, a channel. It's a name in order to be a makar for the olam, for the world. And that's the spheres. And now he says not only the spheres, but the entire world of Atzilus. V'gam klolos Atzilus, the general world of Atzilus, who b'chenas hagilui is all revelation, begin the Yiddish Tamoidenle, that we can know him, that he should be known. In other words, the way he reveals himself to the outside, but it's not him himself. Paradise, as is stated in Paradise, from the Ramak. Bashar, in the portal of Shem ben Dalad, the name of 4 letters. The Atzilus hu shmoi shela ein soif. It's the name of the Ein Soif, Moira Atzmusai, that's indicating on who he is. But it's not him, it's only indicative of who, the way he's revealing himself, the way he's making himself known. Okay, once we understand that, now we understand. Avram increased the energy flow into Atzilus. Now he's going to describe in a most beautiful manner Avram Avinu's Avodah. Avram Avinu, it took tremendous work in order to accomplish this. Let's not think this is a little task. Oh, he was only Mamshech Or and Atzilus. Yeah, it took Avram Avinu laid the foundation through unbelievable avodah that is just incomprehensible at all. What was his avodah? Mesiras Nefesh, with tremendous Mesiras Nefesh, self-sacrifice, and his self-sacrifice was begufa, was with his body, ubenishmasa, and with his soul. It was a Mesiras Nefesh of his guf. That means he surrendered. He was willing to surrender and give up, and he actually surrendered every element of his physical material existence, but also he served the Eibishter in a level beyond with his neshama and spiritual matters, as we'll see. When it comes to his body, he was in a state of total Mesiras Nefesh. First of all the tests. And every test kind of hit him and another physical that he had to be willing to give up. Lech lecha, he had to give up his place that he was so comfortable in for so many years, and he had such an impact on. And this was, he had his whole to leave very hard. And then the Messiah, and then he took away his wife, and then then he went to war, and then he was thrown into cast him into the fire, gave up his life. Then his one and only child, and the Bris Mila, and everything. And that's number one. Another inyan besides the Mesiris Nefesh and his guf, there was another inyan that he's identifying it still with his guf, he was in a state of tremendous bittul, v'shiflis betachlis. His part of his avodah was he was in extreme humility, and he was so lowly by himself to the point, here he is. It's amazing, you think about it. He's the one person who taka, because of him, basically, he is the foundation of the whole purpose of the cosmos. Are all, the pasuk says, Eila Torah Shemayim v'aretz bihi baram. Chazal say ba'avram. The word bihi baram. The whole creation was for Avram Avinu. Well, not him. There's no purpose for anything. He's the foundation. And yet, Avram Avinu thought of himself like he's the most wasted element in this world, literally. And that every single I'm sorry to say that, but every single shmegegi that was there was more. In those days, were a lot of shmegegis, real shmegegis. And yet, Avram Avinu, in Avram Avinu's eyes, every single one of them was more important. To the point that when Avram had something, he didn't eat, and this other guy needed to eat, Avram felt the other person's hunger more than he felt his own hunger. Because he was less important in his own eyes than that human being. That human being was more important, more deserving to be in God's planet than himself. That's how he felt. And that's why in everything, he gave everything away to others. He saw himself as something extra in this world, totally unnecessary. And whatever he had, he gave away to others. He didn't need anything. What I love about the Maimarim, one of the things, you're dealing with a Maimar with such deep haskalah, deep abstracting, and then suddenly over here you have the most beautiful expressions in Avodah of what it means to be a Yid and how Avram Avinu. It's just, in other words, it goes from the highest of the high down to simple. In any case, there's so much lesson over here. That's what I'm saying. How Avram's Avodah was. He didn't need anything to himself. Also, like it says, "V'noichi offer ve'efer ayim dust and ashes." That's the Avodah of his guf. Ubenishmasa, and in his neshama, betoikif ava betachlis. He was with the intensity of love, betachlis. Betachlis hayiskashrus va'advekus belukus. With the epitome of hiskashrus, of bonding and dvekus in the Eibishter. Shaloi hifsik afil rega echad miskashrusay dvekusay. Avram Avinu didn't have 1 minute that he was diverted his attention from unbelievable love, spiritual connection to the Eibishter. Ubechol yom b'yom, and every day, halach be'iloy achar iloy. Every day was much higher in his love, increased than the day before. B'mailas hadvekus, and the quality of dvekus. As it says, Hishalech lefanai. Hashem said, "Walk before me." And walking means every step is completely beyond where you were before. It means to go in a level of beligavul. That's why the malachim are called oimdim, because even though they move, since they move not beligavul, they move kind of within a certain range, they're not called mahalchim. Only neshamas are called mahalchim because they take quantum leaps. So Avram Avinu's avodah that's called hiluch, meaning it was every day shaloi be'erach on what was before. Was on a whole different level. Taka says by Avram Avinu that he was continually traveling to the south. He went from level to level. And he reached such a level of dveikus. His dveikus was so powerful that he served as a powerful magnet that not only did he cleave to God completely, all of his thoughts, actions, everything was there, but he picked up everything that was within his Dalet Amis. Everything that was close to him became completely connected. Gam in Yanam Achumriyim, even the coarse things, Sheniskashru v'nidviku be'elukus. Everything became sucked up, so to speak, in the Eibishter in Elukus. Like it says, V'avram kovid ma'oid. B'mikne b'kaseh v'bezav, as it says, Avram Avinu was loaded with cattle, with silver, and with gold. And it says in Zoyar Parshas Lech Lecha Daf Pei Gimel, The four things that I mentioned over here, Mikne, Kesef, and Zav, and I'm not exactly sure, and maybe Ma'oid is also counted. These are the four madregas of Chesed. What does that mean? This is Mikne, this is cows, cattle, and silver and gold. When Avram Avinu looked at a cow, it wasn't a cow. Avram Avinu was an Inyan Ruchni. His Kesef and his Zav was an Inyan Ruchni. Everything, the content of every davar gashmi that he had was its ruchnistic content. As stated in Tanya, referring to the Avos, where Alter Rebbe is explaining how the Avos, Perek Lamed Gimel, he's explaining over there that all the Avos were a markava to the Eibishter all the time, maybe in Perek Lamed Dalet, I'm sorry. And he says over there that all their Eivarim were Kedoshim Umuvdalim were completely separated from worldly things. Shagama Gashmi Shalahem. Even their physical things, Haya Lukus. When Avram Avinu ate dinner, he wasn't eating dinner, he was eating a Lukus. Because he saw in the food only its ruchnistic content, the nitzot zelaki, and so on. That's what he lived in. He was in that he wasn't doing physical things. He didn't live in the material. His existence was not a material existence. Every movement of him, every inyan was an inyan ruchni, an inyan eloki, an inyan godly. But even though in his own private perception that's what it was, but the Inyanim Gashmiyim themselves, as they were to the outside world, remain physical things. Because Avram Avinu didn't have the koyach to be mamshech ebish der mamish gili lukus in the dvarim Gashmiyim in a way that's mitzad oilam. In where his consciousness was, yes, but not. But where did he draw godly energy down? He added lights, increased the tremendous flow of divine energy, not in the oilamos, not in the oir, but in the ba'orcha, near oir, in the makar achayim. That's where he increased life. Now, it's not that he didn't reveal anything below. Avram Avinu was a big preacher. He preached everywhere the truth of monotheism, and he taught, and he had many students. As it says clearly, that he actually converted people. Shagayar Gerim, he made Gerim. But here's a very, very strong statement, which I never saw elsewhere in Chassidus, just phrasing it like this. It's really, really nice. I don't mean this, I mean what he says right after this. His main Amshacha was in Atzilus. If he would have been Mamshech, the light that he was Mamshech above, Gam Lamata, also below, Hoya Alafim Udavavois Gerim. It wouldn't be a few Gerim. He would have thousands and tens of thousands of Gerim. Valoy Hoya Rakshin Yudches Gerim. He really only had 318 converts. Like it says, when he went to war, he took along his household of an effort that they came to him, and it says 318 that went along with him. According to one opinion, it's only in Eliezer, Gematria, 318, or it's... So, he says, if Avram would have been mamshech the lights that he was mamshech in Atzilus into the Gashmistical world, he would have converted half the planet. Who did it? Who did accomplish that? The Rebbe. Take a look. The Rebbe did this, because the Rebbe Taka made thousands and hundreds of thousands of Yidden come back from this and return to Yiddishkeit. And he said, had Avram Avinu been mamshech that light, why is the Rebbe able to do it? Because the Rebbe is the seventh. Just like Moshe Rabbeinu. The seventh, Taka brings it down into this world. The first begins the process in Atzilus. The main Hamshach and his Giloi Hoyla was above. This is also Avram Avinu's Kiyum HaMitzvahs. As it says, Vayishmai Mishmarti, that Avram Avinu observed my observance, Mitzvahsai my mitzvahs, Chukaisai my statutes, V'Toiraisai my Torah. So what does it mean? Avram Avinu, did he physically wrap tefillin? No, he didn't. He did all the mitzvahs as the Eibishter does the mitzvahs. Shekayim Avram and mitzvahsav are the Eibishter's mitzvahs. Kamaya mitzvahs shalamayla in the spiritual content, like the Eibishter does them. For example, it says HaKadosh Baruch Hu mevaker cholim. The Eibishter goes to visit the sick. HaKadosh Baruch Hu maniach tefillin. The Eibishter puts on tefillin. She'ein beruchnius, it means spiritually. The Inyan Bikr Chaylim. What does it mean, Bikr Chaylim? Lamayla. What does it mean, Bikr Chaylim above? The Eibishter is Mavakar Chaylim. The truth is, in one sense, he came to visit Mamish. He came to Avram Avinu then by Bikr Chaylim. But the Inyan of Bikr Chaylim in general, in the Ruchnistik is Moshe Kasav, like it says, Samchuni ba'ashishos, surround me with fine wines. Rapiduni also means like surround my head or whatever. Bitapuchim, with apples. Ki choilas ava ani, because I am sick with love. It's a pasuk in Shir Hashir. Ki choilas ava ani. So the Zohar says, Shazam ma'im knesses Yisroel d'liela. Who is talking? The whole Shir Hashirim is a love song between Knesses Yisroel and HaKadosh Baruch Hu, between Yidden and the Eibishter, and between the Shechina and the Eibishter. So the Shechina says, I am sick with love. When? Primarily in Golus. Because she's separated from her husband, from the love of her life, for so many years. And she's so longing. And in order to heal her from her illness, she's asking for the wines and the apples. What does that mean? Because during the time of Golus, she's asleep. The Itza Yoiser, I don't know what the word Yoiser over here is. The Itza Misrachekas Mebaila. The woman is separated from her husband. Chulu. For who inyan Golus HaShechina. This is the idea during the time of Golus HaShechina. Ba'ayin Sarim, the Shechina is in exile amongst the 70 ministering angels. Lashpia Behem, to give them life. Val Yodam, and through them. And she's hanging out with, like we say, with Allah Dia Choleres. She has to give them life. Attacking the ministering angels, I don't want to start up with them, but kind of, they're already at the end of their reign, so we can chapazich with them a little bit. Anyway, these are not the people that the Shekhinah wants to be with, these Ataka angels, but these are the sources of these, of the guns of the nations. She can't stand being in that company. She wants to be back with her husband, with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This creates in the Shekhinah an intense longing, and thirst. It is known the B'chinas Malchus. Malchus is the Shekhinah. Nikras, she's called Hatzmeya, which it says in Parshas Nitzavim, Laman Tzvois Harava es Hatzmeya. Hatzmeya, the Zohar says, is Hey Tzmeya. Hey is Malchus, the Shekhinah. Yud Kei Vav Kei. We know the latter Hey of the Yud Kei Vav Kei is Malchus. Hey Tzmeya is thirsty. Shazeo Gam Ken B'Ridas HaMalchus. This also refers to the descent of Malchus. Sheyarda L'Biyah, because she goes away from the Giloy of Atzilus. Malchus is called Raglel Yeredas Maves, her feet go down into the world. And therefore, Shu B'chinas Tzima, and she's in a state of thirst. La Lois Lamayla, she always wants to go up. Stated elsewhere. First of all, the Rebbe says, Malchus, even not in the time of Golus. The general power of the Shekhinah being imbued and invested in creation, in the Tzimtzumim and the contractions of a finite world, that already is a tremendous separation from the great infinite lights above. Especially during the time of exile, when she's further dragged into the exile to support the 70 ministering angels. That's the Shekhinah. So that's in Shir Hashirim, the Shekhinah talking. She's Chaylas Av. But we are the offshoots of the Shekhinah in this world. So the same applies to the Neshamas of Yidden down here in Lamata. They too are so intensely thirsty. Because of their separation. Just like the Shekhinah is mislabish in the Ayin Sarim, so too in Neshama becomes mislabish binyana olam haza in the matters of this world. The fact that we're swamped with the disturbances of making a living. That separates a Yid so far from being godly conscious, so far from dveikus in the Eibishter. This creates samalach nafshi, creates tremendous thirst in neshama. Like it says, samalach nafshi, my soul is thirsting for you. And when am I thirsting for you? Dafka be'eretz tziyav oyev, in a land that's desolate and thirsty. Ubefrat, that means dafka when I'm far from Elokus. Ubefrat, and particularly kashem is boinem b'pchenasa ein soif. When a person contemplates in the Eibishter being ein soif, and then he realizes how he's stuck in a tiny little crack. That's in the. I didn't understand why he's emphasizing when a Yid is mizboinen in the Ein Sof that's in the world. I would have thought for Tzimayin he should be mizboinen in the Ein Sof that's higher than the world. For whatever reason, maybe because the Ein Sof that's higher than the world is too hard for us to sense. But the Ein Sof that's in the world that we should be connecting to and we're not connecting to, that's creating the Tzimayin. I'm not exactly sure. As it says, where do you see a koyach Ein Sof in the world? That we see that the entities that remain, that species aren't extinguished, or at least the planets above, things work in a manner of bli gvul, they don't end. The malachim exist on forever, and so on and so forth. Stated elsewhere. That's where you can see an indication of Ein Sof even in the world. But when a person realizes that I'm not even aware of that, I'm not tapping into that, because of the distance and the lack of revelation, the person becomes sick with love. The Jew is crying out, he wants Gilui Elokus in his nefesh, reflecting the Shechina that's also yearning. And that's what it says in Shir Hashirim, Samchuni ba'ashishus, surround me with fine grapes, fine wines, the ashisha ayel chamra. It's a lashon of Zoyar. What the Zoyar says, the ashisha, that the fine, I think it's fine grapes or wine, the ayel chamra, this bringing in the wine. And there it says like this, the Zoyar says, ashisha ayel chamra, and tapuchim is mesalik, removes the wine, or something like that. And because the desire is trying to explain why, for chaylas ava, why the remedy for this illness, this tremendous spiritual thirst and yearning, can only be quenched by wine and apples. What's these two? These are, and the idea is as follows: the thirst of the neshama is for elokus, and what's going to quench the thirst of elokus? Not water. Water is nigla the Torah. The revealed part of Torah is nice, but it's not going to quench that spiritual thirst. You need Yenoi Shel Torah. You need the secrets of Torah. The Eibishter comes to be Mavakar Chayla. The Eibishter brings us a tzaddik who reveals to us Pnimiyas HaTorah. And when a Yid hears Pnimiyas HaTorah, Vertem Abissels, Vertem dit kvikt. In other words, his thirst, his yearning, that he wants so much light, satiates. Remember I was saying here Friday night when Shulam Lema was here, I was talking about how the tinek yoinek mishtei imai, when the baby, the yidna compared to the baby, that on Thursday, the last third of the night, they wake up and they want a nurse. And the Arizal then was the Eibishter gave us the holy Arizal, who started nursing us because we were thirsty. We were already, the gullus was so long already, we couldn't stand it anymore. So then came Taka the Baal Shem Tov, Arizal, and then the Baal Shem Tov, and all the Talmid Baal Shem Tov, who nurture the Jewish neshamas. They Pashat gave the thirsty souls. Today was Ramelach's yard site. How many thousands of neshamas did Ramelach nurse back to life? Give them chayos, give them lebedekai, through the hisgalus of Pnimiyas HaTorah. The nichnas yayin yotza soid, because yayin brings the secrets. Then soid the HaTorah, this is what Knesset Yisroel is asking for. The secrets of the Torah. That's when a chassid came running to his Rebbe, and all he wanted was to hear a maimer. This has brought joy in the soul. It's literally healing. This heals the nefesh. And the same is above. Now, just like it is down, and remember we said Chaylas Ava is down here, it's also up there. So how is it by the Shechina? It's Hamshachas Oiris Elyoinem B'Pchenas Malchus. It's drawing these great lights of Bina, which is Yenoi Shel Torah, into Malchus, and that gives Malchus some kind of a what is it called, a respite? What is it called, a respite? When you give someone a little rest from something like that. V'zeu inyan. And by the way, the Zohar continues. The Zohar says that the apples has the opposite effect, because when you're taking too much wine, the midas can become so rallied up, and it can go too far one way. So the fragrance of apples causes a person to sober up and create balance. So in this state of intoxication, of such yearning, we're afraid that if we just get the wine, we become overwhelmed a bit. So there has to be a balance of apples and wine, which keep the proper balance for it and not to go overboard. And this is what we mean when we say the Eibishter does a mitzvah of Bikr Chaylim, is the Eibishter heals the sick. He reads Megala Pnimius HaTorah. And what does it mean? VaKadosh Baruch Hu maniach tefillin. And what does it mean that the Eibishter puts on tefillin? What is tefillin? Hu amshachas moichin lezah. When we're putting on tefillin, we're taking the Eibishter's moichin. In the tefillin is the box, the Eibishter's brains, putting it on our head. So we, down here, are a resemblance for Adam Elyon, there's an air armpit. And when you put tefillin above, it means you're mamshech moichin from Chacham Bina into the Ze'er armpit, into the midas. And that's the idea of putting on tefillin. Kenoin. So just like we understand that these mitzvahs, there is our mitzvahs to where we go visit a sick, it means to actually go to an ill person and go visit him. And by the Eibishter, it's a spiritual content. So when we say that Avram Avinu did all the mitzvahs, what do we mean? He did the spiritual. This is also the fulfillment of mitzvahs of Avram. Avram Avinu didn't have physical mitzvahs. Avram Avinu only had spiritual mitzvahs. He did my mishmeres, mitzvah sai, my mitzvahs. Like the mitzvahs above. And all of this, he was mamshech toisvis oiris b'madreges d'atzilus. He was mamshech added lights in the lights of Atzilus. But the Rebbe is saying now, to be mamshech oiris in Atzilus, even though it's gewaldig, ein zeh davar chidush. It's not really a complete chidush. It's not such a novelty called kach. Shreya oiris d'atzilus and makom makom dveikim. You're dealing with increasing light in something that's already davuk. Something that is already in a state of dveikus, in a state of attachment to its source. The oil that's initially in Atzilus, there is some oil flowing in Atzilus without any avodah. There is Atzilus, it's oil, there's a flow. That oil is already davok and miyuchad with the oil in Seif. It stated in Eitz Chaim. What did we say earlier? Atzilus is the last stage of the kav. The kav is davok. It's davuk to the oil in Seif. It's not separated. There's no hefsek between the kav and the oil in Seif. And so too the individual lights of Atzilus and the B'chenas Dveikus are in a state of Dveikus, because there's two things. There is the Oir HaKav that's in the Oiris. It's the Pnimius of the Oiris of Atzilus is the Oir HaKav. But then there's the Oiris of Atzilus itself. They too are in a state of Dveikus. V'hagam the Chachma d'Atzilus hu b'B'chenas Yesh Me'ayin. And now he's countering this. We just said earlier, when he tried to explain how Atzilus is created through a tremendous Tzimtzum, brought about, is emanated. He said that it's called Yesh Me'ayin, V'chachma Me'ayin Timot. And now he's suddenly saying that it's in a state of Dveikus. Yesh Me'ayin means it's a whole total new thing. It's not. V'agam the Chachma d'Atzilus b'B'chenas Yesh Me'ayin. Even Chachma, which is the first. Gam b'B'chenas ha'oyer, and that's not only the Kalim of Chachma, even the light is in a state of Yesh Me'ayin. And if that's the case, meaning it's not then Davuk, it's a new thing. And therefore, it should be a chidush that Avram Avinu was able to bring mamshech oyer in Atzilus. He says, "V'hu be'ein aroich legaba atzmos," and Atzilus is ein aroch, is incomparable to atzmos kanel niskalel, as we said earlier. It is known that there's many understandings of the idea of yesh me'ayin. The b'chinas yesh me'ayin da Atzilus, that there's something from nothing of Atzilus einoi kamoi bebria. It's not the same level of when we say yesh me'ayin in bria. In Bria, it's taka, a new mitzias mamish. Shezeu ayidei aparsa, because the way Bria is created is through a thick partition. And therefore, whatever is created past the partition is mamish considered yesh me'ayin, something new legamra. Hamafsekes umalemes legamri, that obscures and interrupts and obscures completely. B'b'chenas ha'or da'atzilus, the lights of Atzilus. At shenimshach or she'enoi or ha'atzilus. Until the continuation past that parsa, as we said earlier, is not the same light of Atzilus, it's an Ur Shel Toilda. V'ubchenes Ur Shel Toilda Levad. It's considered an offspring of a light. It's not the original light. And therefore, what it creates is taka a real Yesh Me'ayin. Kamoi, for example, what's the mashal for this idea? And the mashal for this is the idea of a mashal. The mashal itself is the mashal for this. What is a mashal? When you want to explain something, there is the concept. And a teacher has to take a concept and try to diminish the concept so that the students will understand. And there's many levels of diminishing a concept. Contracting it, simplifying it, cutting out a lot of the depth, making it suitable for the student. But then there's a type of student that no matter how much you adapt, it's not going over. They're not a keli. So the teacher has to do is he has to camouflage it in a mashal. Once you put it into a mashal already, you're taking something that's totally alien to the whole subject, things that are unrelated, and you're hiding it in it. Now, once you're passing it through the mashal, it's entering into the zone of the student, into the world of the student, and they're able to get. Now, once through the mashal, they can understand the idea. But here's the idea: once you're appreciating something already through a mashal, the understanding of that student is already not the idea. It's similar. It's an or shel tilda. It has metamorphosized it so much that it's considered like a new or. It's an offspring of that. So it's almost like a yesh me'ayin. Even though you're still explaining the concept of 2 + 2. But if I had to explain 2 + 2 = 4 through giving you 2 fire engines and 2 police cars and showing you that there are 4 of them, you're not understanding 2 + 2 = 4. You're understanding that 4 fire engines or 2 of that. You're not seeing the abstraction. You're seeing it, and maybe you're only going to see it in objects, but you're not going to see it as a concept. It'll take you mature. Once you can throw away the mashal completely, eventually, and see it in its original form, you can pass that parsa. But the parsa is there. That's the idea. The parsa, it's basically taking whatever light was shining before, cutting it off, and now it's a new light. Mashal v'chida, or a riddle. Shemaylam ala seichel legamri, conceals the seichel completely. V'aseichel hamizgala, and then the seichel that is shining through, eina klal k'may etzem haseichel. It's not like the idea that was before. That's the yesh me'ayin as we understand it between Atzilus and Bria. Aval inyan yesh me'ayin, the Atzilus, the yesh me'ayin of the world of emanation itself, is on a much higher level. In other words, it's not so disconnected. Hu al derech mevin davar mitoich davar. When you understand, you extrapolate one thing from another thing, without a mashal. Shem seichel echad ba seichel chadash. From one seichel comes another seichel. She'im yoysei seichel chadash. Even though it's a new seichel, lo yistafus ma seichel akoydim. It's not a continuation of the previous seichel. Ki im seichel acher, it's another idea. It has a shaykhis. Hidden inside of it, in a secret, hidden way, the old seichel, the original seichel, contains within it the new seichel. And the new seichel has a shaykhis to this seichel. In their oimek and in their pnimius, they're really one. V'zau mashal, and if you want to break your head to understand the difference between the two inyanim of mashal and this idea of lahavin davar mitoich davar, and what the difference between these two inyanim are, you can do it on your own because it's 11:30. We're not going to do that right now. V'zau mashal. Okay, he's obviously explains something very deep. The difference between how Atzilus is broken away from what's pre-Atzilus, and the difference between how Bria breaks away from Atzilus. The difference between Bria and Atzilus is in a manner of a transition of a mashal, going through a pars. Here, it's not a transitioning of a mashal, it's lahavin davar mitoich davar. So even though it's a new seichel, but it's ba'oimek u'bepnimi is the same seichel. So it's really yesh me'ayin. So that's what we're saying is Chachma Vatzilus is really there. It's not real yesh me'ayin. V'zeu mashla b'chenas yesh me'ayin Vatzilus. The makom b'chenas kiruv v'dveikus b'makoyram. It's in a state of kiruv and dveikus in its source. K'moshe kaseh b'makam acher. It's the subject matter of a different maimer. And let's just hope that he's just putting it over here just parenthetically so we don't have to feel guilty that we didn't really understand this. But what's the idea? The main idea is the one nakuda. What he's saying, therefore, is that when Avram Avinu is mamshech oiros and atzilus, it's not such a chiddush, because lechatchila atzilus, the oiros of atzilus are still attached to where the oiros to atzilus are anyways meyuchad with their source. Now you might say, okay, what might you say? That's the oiros, but maybe the chiddush is that he is mamshech the oiros and the kelim. And in the Kalim, that's a Chiddush. Now, Atzilus is a very unique world where the Oiros are perfectly unified with the Kalim. The Iyuch v'chiyuchad, because he and his emanations, as we learned about this recently in a Maimer, Iyuch v'garmuchad, he and his emanations are one, and he and his garments are one. That means he is unified with the Kalim as well. Ukamoy al derech mashal. And he gives the mashal of a human, the human soul. And this mashal is going to be a mashal on both. On how close the Oiros of Atzilus are to the emanator, and also how much even the Kalim of Atzilus are unified with the Oiros of Atzilus, and the Oiros of Atzilus are unified with the emanator, with the Eibishter. All this is to prove why it's not such a chiddush that Avram Avinu was mamshech more Oir in Atzilus. It's not such a breakthrough. It's not such a novelty. And what's the mashal? The mashal is of the human soul. Kamoy derech mashal b'koiches hanefesh, in the human soul, powers of the soul. Hagam shem be'ein haroich lagabe etzem hanefesh. Even though the koiches are be'ein haroich to the etzem hanefesh, she'eina maschalekes b'koiches, the etzem hanefesh is not divided into koiches. The nefesh itself is not. Makom makom areim misachtim im hanefesh. Yet they unify with the nefesh. Meaning, they're very far. The koyach haseichel is not the nefesh. Koyach hamidos, the koyach of love, it's not the nefesh. But yet, it's unified with the nefesh. Why? Sherein koyches nafshiyim, because they're spiritual. They're soul-like koyches ruchniim. They're koyches. They're like offshoots of the nefesh, or they are offshoots of the nefesh, even though they're not the nefesh itself. Vayehe is, and where do you see how deeply impacted and how synchronized the koiches hanefesh are with the nefesh itself? He brings an interesting thing, that when a person is in a state of simcha, that means your nefesh is open, your etzem hanefesh is open, automatically every koyach is energized. The seichel is so much stronger. The love is so much deeper. So you see that they're synchronized together, the nefesh and its koiches, because even though the koiches hanefesh are not the nefesh, but yet they're so attached and unified with the nefesh. Vayehe is galus v'toisves or benefesh, and through the revelation of the nefesh and an increased flow of expansiveness, if you can say, in the soul. V'srach v'makoiches, the koiches broaden. Ukamoy be'esa simcha kahai gavna, like in the time of simcha. Ukamashakasim makamachar, stated in another place. Like you see, a person's koiches are suddenly so intense. V'chein, that's on the one hand. HaKoiches, that's a mashal for the nefesh. Connecting to the koiches hanefesh is a mashal to the oirein soif, connecting to the oireis of Atzilus. Now the next mashal of how the koiches hanefesh connect to the Eivarim, that's going to be a mashal on how the koiches of Atzilus connect to the kelim of Atzilus. V'chein HaKoiches misachtim im Eivarei aguf. We find that the koiches hanefesh become completely unified with the Eivarim of the body. What does it mean? A human body is essentially dead. When you put a soul into it, it comes alive. Okay, the body can't. Well, what's the pirush? The pirush is that there is a dead body that has a living soul inside of it, and the living soul schleps the dead body around. That's not what's happening. That's not what happens. Soul and body merge together to the point that the body becomes alive from the nefesh. That the body part, every cell of the body is alive. From what? From the nefesh. So you see they're perfectly unified. It's not stam that one is inside the other, but it merges, it joins together. And even though it couldn't be two bigger opposites, that's why we say in Asher Yotzar, Roife Kol Basar Mafli Lasas, in Halach it says, in Shulchan Aruch, Mafli, the Pele is that soul and body, one is spirit and one is matter, they come together, but they become together so one, V'hoilo Basar Echad, they become mamish an entity. The Imeh Yos Rechoikim Zeh Mezeh Betachlis, even though they're so far from each other. Shezeh Gashmi V'zeh Ruchni, that one is physical and one is spiritual. They become so unified. The guf is lebedig, is alive from the nefesh. The essence of the guf is alive. Not that inside of it there is a living being. As stated elsewhere. This will be a serve as an example for the spheres of Atzilus. Number one, the Oyros are miyuchid with the Oyrein Soif, the emanator. And also the Oyros and the Kalim are perfectly unified. Because everything is divine. That's why to add more light in Atzilus is not such a novelty. What was neschadish in Matan Torah? That's the chiddush of Matan Torah. That there should be gilui of Oyrein Soif not in Atzilus, but in Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya. That in Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya, the Eibishter should unify with the Kalim of creation in the same way that he unifies with the Kalim of Atzilus. Kamoi ba'Atzilus in the same way that he's unified with Atzilus. Ad gam oilam atachtoin achumri. And this should affect even the Kashmiistic, Chumriistic world. Ye keli la'lakush should be a keli to the Eibishter. Kamoi Kalim ba'Atzilus. Like the Kalim of Atzilus. It's amazing Zohar. It says over there that we once learned the whole Maimer on this Zohar. It's over there how David HaMelech changed the order. The Eibishter usually put that the Kohanim are the ones that the Leviim sing and the Kohanim are the ones who bench. David HaMelech went and switched the order. He made the Kohanim sing and the Leviim bench, something like that. He changed them. And the Eibishter said, "What's going on, David? What are you doing there?" That's so amazing how David says to the Eibishter, "Eibishter, when you're in your home, you'll do it the way you like it. When I invited you to my place down here, it's going to be the way I like it." And the Eibishter tells David HaMelech, from there the Zohar learns out that the Eibishter did so. Then you take to learn out that when you're at home, you do it the way you like it. When you go somewhere else, you conduct yourself in the minhag of your host. And then it says, David says to the Eibishter, Bava David Avdecha, Al Tashet Pnei, because I've done this, don't turn me back empty-handed. There should be. So the Eibishter says to David HaMelech, Chayecha, I swear to you, that I'm not going to be mishtamish in my kelim, I'm going to be mishtamish in your kelim. I'm not going to be mishtamish, I'm not using my furniture, my kelim. So in Chassidus it explains, the Eibishter's furniture are the kelim of Atzilus. Your furniture, David is the Shechina, David Malcolm, David is the power of Biyah, and the Eibishter says, I'm going to be mishtamish in your kelim. In other words, that the Eibishter is going to be mizgala in the kelim of Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya in the same way like he's mizgala in the kelim of Atzilus. And that's the chiddush of David, which is shaykh to Shvi. He's the seventh one, Kol HaShvi and Chavivin, bringing the Shechina down here Lamata. So it says over there as follows: Afilu b'manen deli lo yishtamish. With my kelim, I'm not being mishtamish. Elo b'manen delach in your kelim. Manen deli hem kelim da Atzilus. Manen deli the Eibishter's kelim are the kelim of Atzilus. Or manen delach and your kelim hem kelim de biyah. These are the kelim of Bria, Tzir, and Asiya. K'ma shekazim makamacha. Al maimer azayar azaz stated elsewhere on this passage of Zohar. The ikar agilui, the main gilui when Mashiach will come, yeh bekelim de biyah, are going to be in the kelim of Bria, Tzir, and Asiya. Ibn Zohar Vayehe afrei shudvav amad beis, another interesting Zohar, Isa. It says that when the Zohar says over there how Yaakov Avinu was crying, the Zohar builds up how Yaakov's entire pleasure was Yosef, and how the 17 years that he had Yosef with him, in the early first 17 years of Yosef's life, whenever he looked at Yosef, he became filled with unbelievable delight and pleasure. And then, when Yosef was snatched away from him, it hurt Yaakov more than any other pain he had ever in his life. So then later it says, Vayechi Yaakov be'eretz Mitzrayim shva esrei shana. The Eibishter says, I'm paying you back for the 17 years that you were so missing. The Zohar says, Halach shva esrei shnin acherim. I'm giving you another 17 years, this one with Yosef, again, And it goes through with pleasure and delight, and that's the meaning of Vayehe Yaakov. Yaakov lived his greatest pleasure and delight 17 years. So that's what it says in Zohar. Chassidus explains. The Chiddush is that the 17 years that Yaakov Avinu had with Yosef in Mitzrayim was that Yaakov was pouring his light into Yosef's kelim. Yosef was his main Talmud. But Yosef, as Yosef was living in Eretz Yisroel, is an Atzilus. But the Chiddush is Vayehe Yaakov be'eretz Mitzrayim. Mitzrayim represents Meitzar or Gevul. It's as Yosef going down into Bria, Tzir, and Asiya. To bring down those 17 years into Meitzar of this is a much bigger Chiddush, as he explains over here. Shva Esrei Shnin Achronin, different 17 years. Shem Tumura Shva Esrei Shnin de Yosef. Exchange of the 17 years of the early years of Yosef. V'holach, and here you have it, b'Mitzrayim, dainu b'kelim debiyah, in the kelim of Bria, Tzir, and Asiya, Shem Nevroim Balei Gevul, which are limited kelim, Shazeh Inyan Mitzrayim, which is the idea of Mitzrayim, b'chenas Meitzar u'Gevul. These are the Mitzarim and the Gevulim. And even over here, that's the biggest unbelievable accomplishment. The fact that Atzilus facilitates Orein Soif, it's one thing. That Biyah should facilitate Orein Soif. And not just facilitate. Remember we said now that when the Oiros and the Kalim become a Yuchad, just like a Neshama in a body, that the body Pashat lives off the light. So we're talking about Kalim, physical creatures, limited beings, should be alive and merged and one with the Orein Soif, with the infinite. That's the way it's going to be when Mashiach comes. 17 years of Mitzrayim, and that's the way it's going to be when Mashiach comes. This is still not the ultimate objective. This is still in the 10 spheroids of Bria, Yetzira, and Asiya. It's still the Eser spheroids. But the ultimate intention is Shegam ba'olam Asiya, that even in the physical world, Hagashmi, Kelim Elokus, they should be Kelim to Elokus. Ukemoi, it says Umol Avaya Lekecha Es Levavcha. Hashem is going to circumcise your heart, but the deeper meaning he teaches, Laman Chayecha, so that for your life, what is the deeper meaning? Umalu Lashon Gilui. The Eibishter is going to Mila means to me Megala. You're Megala, you pull away the cover and you reveal. Umalu Lashon Gilui, Kamoi Vekatafta Malilos. You should, when you're going into your field and you see fruits that are beginning to reveal themselves, whatever they're called, buds, what are they called? Malilos. And you've a katafta, you can, like upon them, you see Malilos, Malashon Gilui. And the meaning of Umal Havai Lekecha means Umal. The Eibishter is going to be Havai Lekecha. The godliness that's inside of you, Umal, is going to come to a state of Gilui. El Eslevavcha, in your heart. You are going to feel the Orein Soif that's pumping in your heart. Laman Chayecha, to the point that Elokus Orein Soif is going to be your life. Literally your life force. Atzmacha, she'yizer shavai lekecha atzmacha yechayecha is going to be your life. Shekein yila asid, it's going to be when Mashiach will come. Sha'aguf yichye me'elokus, that the body is going to live off divine energy, godliness. Not just now, we also live off an energy that's created by the Eibishter, but you're going to live directly off the Eibishter's life, and that means when the Eibishter wants to turn this way, your body turns this way. It's directly, you're totally plugged in, you're totally wired up with Him Himself. The hand that gives now tzedakah, as a result of the mitzvah that you do now, is then going to be a keli, just like chesed is the right arm of God. A hand that gave tzedakah ba'olam hazeh hagashmi, since this is what's creating the world of Mashiach, is then when Mashiach comes going to be the Eibishter's right hand. Ukemoy ha'kelim da'atzilus shemeir b'em orein soif, just like the kelim of Atzilus that is shining in them orein soif. V'zau ha'chaya shelahem, and this is their life source. Ukemaimer, as it says, Vahu Neviah, and that flow, Iyo Kineshmasa Lagufa, is a neshama to their bodies, the Iyo Chayim Lagufa. This is the life to the supernal guf up there. Kach Yeh La'asid, so it's going to be in the future. Shahayad Hagashmi Yeh Keli La'Lakus. The physical hand will be a Keli and feel and sense Elokus that's flowing in it. V'zeh Yeh Chiyusa. And this will be the chayus of every physical part of our body. V'chein kol eivarim, all the limbs, the ramach pikudin, ramach eivarim the malka. The 248 commandments are the 248 limbs of the king. And by doing the 248 commandments, we are making our limbs kelim that they should literally facilitate the Orein Soif. When the Mashiach will come, the guf will be keli lelukus, a keli to the Eibishter, veyichya melukus. It will physically be alive from elukus. And this is a little bit of a rebuke. That we shouldn't chas v'sholem miss ever an opportunity, missing a day b'kiyam a mitzvah, in the fulfillment of a mitzvah. When a person misses a mitzvah, how is that limb going to live la'asid? So that's the chiddush. And that's the novelty that we have today that we've never had, and that's the chiddush of Matan Torah. That we should be able to bring a lakus down b'manen dilach in your kalim, not in the kalim of Atzilus. But in order to be able to come down so low, you need the hamshacha to come from a much higher place. And that's the power that Moshe Rabbeinu had, that Avram Avinu didn't have. And that's what he's going to say is the power of Vayehe Bayom Shemini dafka. Dafka on the 8th day, which is that transcendental, which we said earlier. Remember we said earlier that the 8th day is the etzem. That's the shirish of the gilui. All the 7, he said, is all gilui, it's revelation. But the 8th is the atzmi, is the etzem. In other words, only the Eibishter himself, that's totally beyond the system of high and low, can break this barrier of high and low and cause that the lowest point should become a complete keli for what is beyond, for him. And that's what he's explaining over here. The shirish of this Amshacha is from the essence of the Ein Sof. The Bechdesha Tiyam Shacha Lamata Mata, in order for the Hamshacha to go down low, the shirish of the Hamshacha must be from a higher place. Now, it's only going to be revealed when Mashiach comes, but our mitzvahs that we do now is being nimshach from Atzmos Orein Sof, higher than the place where Avram Avinu was doing his mitzvahs from. Down now, even though we're being mamshechit, we don't have the gilui, we don't have the revelation of it below. Because the world has not yet reached its zichuch, its purification. As stated elsewhere. Now, it doesn't mean that we don't have any benefit. We have a little ha'ara meir ala adam ha'makayim ha'mitzvah. A little bit of that light in a manner of makif surrounds the person that does the mitzvah. And from a distance, it brings a lot of bracha in a person's life. It increases a person's inspiration. It puts you in a good place. It's mitzvah gareres mitzvah, things like this. But you don't really have a revelation of that now, because we're not yet kalim for that. It's in a makif way it encompasses. But the truth is, he says, this light that's not shining down here, it's not only not shining down here, it's not even shining in Atzilus. Because this light is much higher even than Atzilus. And Atzilus is also not shaykh to it, to receive it. Remember we said earlier that in order for something to go into Atzilus, it has to go through Otzmo Mesaper, it has to go through so many Tzimtzumim. This light is beyond the Tzimtzum. Therefore, even Atzilus, it's not Meir down here, but if in Pnimi, it's not Meir in Atzilus. You know, that's why it's higher than Avram Avinu's light. Avram Avinu was Mamshech in Atzilus, and it was Mizgala B'Atzilus. Our light is adding lights in Atzilus, but also in a manner of Makif. Of course, the Makif in Atzilus is far felt infinitely more than this Makif is felt by us. We feel nothing. But still, even in Atzilus, the real impact of it is not felt. As he says, even in Atzilus. Even though it says that the Kiyama mitzvahs now does add light, is to add lights in Atzilus. Even in Atzilus, it's only in a state of Makif. Like it says, from the word Tzidkasai Oimedes means it's standing, it hasn't yet manifested. Even in Atzilus, it's standing ready forever till it's going to reveal itself. The Batzilus Areza Oimed B'fnei Atzma, it stands on its own. It's not revealed in the Begilui and the Kelim of Atzilus. Since this is Amshacha from the Atzmos of the Ein Sof, it's not possible for it to be bepnimius in the kelim of Atzilus. Ula asid, but when Mashiach will come, yeh hagilui lamata. The gilui is going to be down here, Knis Galiyah. V'amshacha zu, and this amshacha, hu shehimshech Moshe. This is the power of Moshe Rabbeinu. Shezeh inyan Moshe ha'irida mishamayim la'aretz. This is what we mean when we say Moshe Rabbeinu brought the Shekhinah down from heaven to earth. Because in Idra, which is a portion of the Zohar, Daf Kuf Lamed Ches Amud Aleph, it says over there, Gevaldik Inyan about Moshe. That Moshe loy ifsik time. In the Torah, it mentioned somewhere that the Eibishter called Moshe Rabbeinu 2 times. Moshe. And if you take a look, you see that there's no psik time between them. There's no line between them. As opposed to all the other people whose name is mentioned twice, by them there is a psik time. By Avram Avinu, it says Avram. By Yaakov, also there's a psik time. But by Moshe, and more we're going to see soon, even Hashem, Yud Kei Vav Kei, right? Hashem's name that we say twice, there too there is a psik time. The only one who has no psik time in his name is Moshe Rabbeinu. And what does that mean? Why is a person's name mentioned twice? A person's name is mentioned twice is because they exist in a higher realm and they exist in a lower realm. And the way they exist in the lower realm is not the same like they exist in the higher realm. That's why there's an interruption, showing that the one you're seeing down here is incomparably lower to the one to his source up there. But Moshe Rabbeinu, it's the same Moshe up there, the same Moshe down here. He doesn't change. He comes down the way he is. And because Moshe Rabbeinu is Lo Shanisi, doesn't change in any madrega, he comes down as he is, it's because of that he can bring everything from up there down here without changing it, without diminishing it. And that's the power of Moshe. No, those that have it. This is Inyan. Everything up there comes down in this world as is, without changes. The Id Rabbi Isa Moshe lo ifsik time. Moshe Rabbeinu there's no hefsik in his name. Begavayu. And from the day he was born, Shalom Avi was already complete. In other words, because he was born immediately with all the lights of Atzilus down here. He was equal in the world of Atzilus and in the world of Bria. Avram, pasuk time begavayu. But Avram, there's a hefsek. The nishmas Avram beBria hoisaloi kamoishu b'Atzilus. Avram Avinu of Bria was not the way he was in Atzilus. And therefore, because he himself was watered down, so to speak, when he came down, so too whatever he was mamshech from Atzilus down was also impacted by the descent of the worlds. It was impacted. Lohoya oisa or mamish was not mamish the same light. Unlike Moshe, whose neshama was in Bria, the same like Atzilus. So he was able to draw down the lights of Atzilus as is. Then Avram himshech ma'atzilus, because when Avram Avinu was mamshech from Atzilus, derech is slapshus b'haparsa. The reason why Avram's light was impacted when it came down was because it was nislabish, it was enclosed in the parsa, in the screen and the filter. And the screen and the filter therefore filtered it. Shebein Atzilus Labria, between Atzilus and Bria that we spoke earlier, there is a parsa. Remember that parsa we said is like a mushel, and once you're putting something through the mushel, it comes out on the other side. It's already a whole new understanding than what it was prior to the mushel. Moshe also penetrated the parsa. Moshe blasted through the parsa. But Moshe passed through the parsa derech mavir. Mavir means he used it to pass by it, but not during it the way of his slapshus. And a mashal for derech mavir is explained in Chassidus. When you're taking, when you're writing, when the Rebbe Rashab writes this Maimer, for instance, it's going through his hands. The fact that it's passing through his fingers, the fingers didn't imprint the concept, didn't in any way change it because it only passed through it. It wasn't mislabish in the hand and then pass on. Mislabshus means it has to first be absorbed in the place where it's passing through, and from there it passes on. So the very fact that it has to be absorbed in the medium means that it's being diminished. But if it's only passing derech mavir, meaning it's not being impacted. So if you're passing an idea through your tongue because you're talking it, the tongue doesn't diminish the concept just because it went through a physical tongue. and it doesn't change because it's going through fingers and it's being written down, or through a pen. It's not impacting it. So that's the difference between Moshe Rabbeinu and the Avos. In Atzilus itself, the Avos are Chagas. He's going to show that in Atzilus themselves, it's not only in the transitioning from Atzilus to lower that the Avos are hitting a barrier and therefore their light is being diminished. In Atzilus itself, he's going to show that it's the Chatchila diminished light. They receive the Avos, which are Chesed, Gevura, Teferes. Avram is Chesed, Yitzchak is Gevura, Yaakov is Teferes. And they're receiving from their mother, from Bina of Atzilus, Avoderech HaRakia. That hashpa goes through the firmament, Va'aparsa Shebineim and the Parsa. K'moshe Al Roshei HaChayas Rakia. On top of the Chayos, which the Chayos is also referring to the Midos of Atzilus, Rakia, there's a firmament. Or, let's set aside the idea of the firmament. Other than that, they're receiving Moichen Diyanika. Moichen Diyanika means they're receiving nursing from their mother, the lower form of Moichen. Just like a baby gets mother's milk, it develops the child, but it's only immature kind of a development. But later you start eating normal food, you're getting a much higher form of a seichel. So it says that they're Mekamla Moichen Diyanika Levad, the lowest level of influence from Bina. This is the idea of Moichen de Katnus. And that's why when they're Mamshech Atzilus lower, since Lechatchila, it's already Moichen de Katnus, when it's passing into Bria, it's becoming very much altered and diminished. Moshe Rabbeinu is the level of Das. Ki Moshe Ubchenas Yisoid Abba. Moshe Rabbeinu's madrega is Yisoid Abba. It's the Yisoid element of Chachma, Shezeh Ubchenas Das Elyon de Zah, which is Kabbalistically associated with the higher level of Das of Zah. I don't have the Kabbalah right now to support this idea, to explain this idea. I myself did, when I was learning it, didn't have reference for it. I remember seeing it in the past, but not an explanation. But this is what it is. Moshe Rabbeinu is the madrega of Yisoid Abba, which is the Das Elyon of Zah. For Hu B'chenas Moichen de Gadlos, and that's called Moichen de Gadlos, as opposed to the Moichen de Katnus that the Avis are getting. Al ken himshech oira Atzilus, that's why he was able to draw down the light of Atzilus, but derech Mavir Habriya, in the way of Mavir, just passing through. And if we're going to trace this even higher, he's just going higher and higher, showing you the same Indian that the Avis are considered a much lower level that is impacted by the Seder Ishtalshalus. So example, the Avis, if you're tracing them even higher in Kesser, the Avis are rooted in Chesed, Gevura, Teferes of Erech Ampin, Uda Atik, and even of Atik Yoimim, but it's the 7 lower spheres, the Chagas, the Chesed, Gevura, Teferes. Moshe Ubchenas Gimel Rishonais, and Moshe is the Chabad of Atik and of Kesser, the Atik. And therefore, he transcends all these levels. That's why from the day he's born, Shalom Ave, he was complete. He didn't need any work. He came down Shalom Bishleimus, because he came down as he is. He was already circumcised. He didn't need the shleimus. He didn't need the we said earlier, the removing the arla. He came from the essence of the light, from the Vayehe Bayom Shemini light. He came from the essence. Mila b'Shemini. He's born mole. So he's already on that 8th dimension. That's what I said earlier. Remember, I was telling you at the beginning that even though Moshe is the 7th, just like Shabbos has within itself, Matana Toiva has the 8th dimension in Shabbos as well. So to Moshe Rabbeinu, he has the 8th dimension in the fact that he was born Gemalit. The Shoirish Moshe, who b'Shoirish B'Chinashem Ma the Tikkun. Moshe Rabbeinu is in the Shoirish of Ma of Tikkun B'Chinas Yisoid Da'ak. That's why Moshe says about himself, Anachnu Ma. And he's from the Yisoid of Adam Kadmon, which we said earlier, which is higher than Malchus of Adam Kadmon. And that's why we see another interesting feature about Moshe Rabbeinu. That's why Moshe Rabbeinu had the ability to bring Paray to his knees. I made you a master over Paray. The Yeduat is known an amazing thing. Sometimes to know the power of a tzaddik is if he is able to start up with a rasha when the rasha is still in his might. The Gemara has a whole shaila if you're allowed to be mizgara b'rishayim, if you're allowed to start up with the wicked. It's even the biggest tzaddikim. So it says generally that you're not supposed to, especially when shamas achekes lahem. When they're doing well, surrender to them. Don't just because you're a tzaddik and he's a rasha, don't try because they have power. And we know in Klippa, whenever, for whatever reason, when the Eibishter gave them power, they're super powerful. Don't mess with them. But it says only the biggest tzaddikim, Reb Shimon Bar Yochai, was able to start up with the rasha while they were in their strength. And those are only people that are totally beyond the Shviras HaKelim, which Shviras HaKelim, the Shayrish and the Neshama, because it says like this, Kedusha is rooted in Olam HaTikun. Klippa is rooted in Olam HaToyu. And Toyu is higher than Tikun. That's why you don't want to mess with a rasha when they're dominant. Until you extract the energy from them slowly, then they lose their energy and they collapse, then they can fall. But before that, when they still have the energy inside of them, forget about it. Besides tzaddikim that come from a place that's beyond Toyu and Tikkun, and they can rule over even the Rishayim. Moshe Rabbeinu was one of those tzaddikim. That's why he can take Paroi down while Paroi was in his strength. The Rebbe, Purim by night, the famous Maimer we all know, Tafshin Yud Ches, when the Rebbe told the story about Hu-Ha, amazing story, the Rebbe literally killed Stalin in that Maimer. Everybody saw it. It was during the time of the big, and Stalin was in his might, and it was at the time when there was the libel against the doctors, and there was a threat to who knows what was going to happen. The Rebbe took him down in his power. There's a certain tzaddikim that just now we had the left was in its high. They were like shooting for the stars. After the Obama administration, 8 years of Obama was going to go to Hillary Clinton. Boom, these guys were soaring. It was like boom, and suddenly Trump, traska down. That can only be done by Mashiach. That can only be done by the highest powers, who can take the rasha down in his power. The Yeduat is known, the Lishboy Raklipa Ba'oida B'takva, to break the Klipa when it's in his strength, through Rak B'koyach Atzmos Ein Sof Baruch Hu, is only in the power of Atzmos Ein Sof. In Moshe Kasavim Zroya Kekei Loch Adena Ga'oin V'gava. I don't know what the title of the pasuk is, so I'm not going to attempt to translate it. It's talking about the Gevura that there is in Klipa. The koyach zeh niton Moshe. Moshe had that koyach because he's coming from that 8th dimension, from the Yisoid of Adam Kadmon. The Zayin Malkin Kadmoyin, which is the shirish of the wicked, of all of Olam HaToyu and B'chinas Malchus Da'ak, is only the Malchus of Adam Kadmon. The Yisoid Da'ak, and the Yisoid of Adam Kadmon, Ushalamaylo Metoyu V'tikun, is higher than Toyu and Tikun, V'u shirish HaTikun. It's the ultimate root of Tikun. It's not Tikun, it's the shirish of Tikun. We learned it this year. Everybody forgot already. We learned in the beer of Anin Lasat L'Chashchem Echad, we learned the difference between Yosef and the Shvatim, how Yosef was also from the Shirish of Yisoid of Adam Kadmon. Moshe Mepnei Shirish Mepchinas Yisoid of Adam Kadmon, Hoye Bekoichoy L'Radois as Paroi, to bring Paroi to his knees, Al Ken Gam Ken Hoye Becholtoi L'Hamshecha Or V'Agilui Lamata. And for that very same reason, he's able to draw down the light as is, undiminished, down here into this world. And he's going to explain Va'inyanhu, and he's going to explain the Inyan, how that works. I know I went the entire Maimer in a marathon, and I was thinking to finish it in one shot, but I'm going to leave the last few minutes for after the break. We'll do a few minute break. This will take us another 15 minutes, Be'ezus Hashem, 20 minutes max, and we're going to finish it. Or else I'm going to be glued to the chair when I don't know how I'm going to move. Okay. Even like this, it's like, ah. Yeah, 20 minutes. We're done. For Indian who, the idea is, why is it we're saying that because Moshe Rabbeinu was mushra so high, he was able to bring the light down without it changing. Usually when you bring things down, the whole nature of the system of creation is that there is a system of filtration. It filters and it goes through screens and it gets weaker and weaker. It's impossible to bring something down with the same intensity as it is up there. It should come down here. So in order to be able to do that, you have to reach from beyond the system. The shayrish of the hamshach has to be from a much higher place. For Inyan, the idea is the hineksiv, because till now we only know that that's the way it is. Moshe Rabbeinu, because he was so high, he himself didn't change, and he was able to bring things down without changing it. But what's the idea behind it? The hineksiv, it says in the pasuk, Ki ato neiri havaya. You are my candle, Hashem. You are my lamp. V'havaya yagia chashki. And havaya will brighten my darkness, will illuminate my darkness. So it mentions havaya. Now, whenever it mentions 2 times Yud Kei Vav Kei consecutively in a pasuk, you know it's referring to the 2 havayas that I mentioned in Hashem Ke Racham B'chara. That's already that's something we're familiar with. Question, however, is why does it say havaya v'havaya? It should say ki ato neri Hashem yagia chashchi. What's the havaya? First of all, why does it say 2 times havaya? It says ki ato neri havaya. You are my neri Hashem v'yagia chashchi, and you will illuminate my darkness. Indian, the idea is the hinekel deos havaya. We know the pasuk says when Chana said it in her song. Kael Deos Hashem. Kael Deos, a God of Deos, of knowledge. But she uses plural. Kael Deos Hashem. So it says, like in Zoyar or whatever, what the source of this is, but it's spoken of Chassidus all along, that in Deos it implies 2 Deos, Das Elyon and Das Tachten. There's 2 Deos, and the Eibishter incorporates within himself both these Deos. What are the 2 Deos? A higher knowledge and a lower knowledge. Das Elyon hu, what's the higher knowledge? Ein Soif hu Yesh Amiti. That the Ein Soif is the true Yesh. V'chol Masha Lamata, and everything that's below hu Ayin V'Efes. That was the perspective from God's side. He is, and there's none but Him, and therefore anything that emanates from Him, and everything low is that He created, or anything, and no matter which dimension, it's all Ayin. He is Yesh. He is the true being. Everything is Ayin V'Efes. The Das Tachten. What is the lower Das? Is the perspective. Generally, we say Das Tachten is the creation's Das. The creation from below. The awareness from below. The knowledge of below. Shalamata Yesh, that we are Yesh. The below, the creations are something. Ulamayla Ayin. And what is above is Ayin. Why do we say it's Ayin? We're saying we're created, Yesh Me Ayin. Because Elokus is something that we have zero, concept of, and therefore, being that we don't know it, we can't touch it, feel it, smell it, chew on it, feel it, whatever, see it, hear it. We call it ayin because we have it's to us. It's not that it's non-existent. We know it exists. It's yesh me ayin. But we know that the yesh was created by the ayin, but we refer to it as ayin as nothingness because this is concrete. V'hinei shem ayin b'das elyon hu amiti. So, in both cases we use yesh and ayin. It's only that we're exchanging. Over there, the Eibishter is the yesh and the worlds are the ayin, and in the lower das, the worlds of the ayin. The worlds of the yesh and the Eibishter is the ayin. Fine, it's a conflict. But he says, now let's take a look at that ayin and see, is it really the same idea of ayin? Both mean nothingness, and is it equal nothingness? So he says, no. The yesh ta'ayin that there is in Das Elyon, which says that he is yesh and what is below him is ayin, that's real ayin. Why? Hinesham ayin, shem ayin b'das Elyon hu amiti. The name ayin in the higher das is true. What do I mean true? Is that it's completely ayin. L'gabe yesh amiti, because mamanashach. Let's look at it from the perspective of the yesh and from the perspective of the ayin. From the perspective of the yesh, in this case it's the yesh amiti, it's the Eibishter himself. The l'gabe yesh amiti be'emes hakol b'chinas ayin mamish. That everything is absolutely not before him. That's from the Eibishter's perspective. So it's really, really, really ayin. Ayin ve'efes mamish. But that's not only in the makar, in the source, the yesh, and he knows that everything emanating, which looks to be emanation, but it's all cancelled and nullified and nothing. The oir too, from the ayin's perspective, which is the ayin, also feels b'chinas yesh amiti. The oir feels its source, it's yesh amiti. V'alkein be'emes b'chinas ayin. It truly recognizes its utter nothingness to the yesh amiti, that's its source, and therefore it perceives itself as absolute ayin to the full meaning of why ayin is. Hu be'emes b'chinas ayin bi'atzma. Avo b'das tachten, but in the lower das, Masha nikra ayin hu rak shem mushal. When we're saying that the Eibishter is ayin, we're yesh and the Eibishter is ayin, we don't mean that he's really nothing, meaning a non-entity, nothing to reckon with, nothing. No, it's only chas v'shalom. It's a borrowed term. We can't say that the Eibishter is ayin to us. This is their source. So if we say that he is nothing, then we're derivatives of him. We're for sure nothing. So I mean, if especially if we're calling ourselves a yesh, if we are something, must be that the power is a real something. So, but why do we call it ayin? Because we can't wrap our minds around it scientifically. We can't define it. We can't, measure it with our scientific tools. And therefore we refer to it as ayin. But it's not real ayin. That is from the yesh's perspective. The yesh doesn't look at the ayin as truly ayin. Like the other yesh, the yesh amiti looks at everything that emanates of it as absolutely taka ayin. V'chein ba'oyer, and the same is in the light, meaning the energy of God that taka creates us, the ayin ha'eliki that creates us, it's responsible. The Eibishter's energy that's creating us, which is called ayin, and it's creating yesh, it's creating us. The oir itself doesn't see itself as ayin. Since it is a source for creation, for yesh, so it's not truly, completely ayin, because it, in other words, it knows of itself that I'm ayin, I'm undefined by any of the definitions of the yesh that I'm creating. Since soif kol soif, this is an oir, that's a source for creation, that creation is going to come from it, so it is close to the somethingness of creation. You can't chas v'shalom pin upon it, you can't define it, you can't pin upon it any of the definitions of creation. You can't say that this oil has darkness and it has light and it has softness and it has hardness and it has yellow and green and heat and cold. Can't do that. But since it's a mocker for all these things, it can't truly, and in this case, ayin means undefined, unspecified. You can't say that on it, mamish, because it's a mocker liyesh. Now the way it works is, when we say there's two deis, so simply it's not just two different opinions, it's actually four dargas. There's atzmos, the yesh amiti. Then there's the first emanation that the Eibishter emanates. That light is so davuk b'makar in its source, it's completely ayin in its own self-awareness to its source. That ayin is not a source for creation, because that ayin couldn't possibly be a source for a yesh. So the way it works is yesh, there is ayin. That ayin gives forth another ayin, which is array of array. That second ray is the source for creation, which is Yesh. So it works from Yesh to Ayin, and then from Ayin to Yesh. So the first Ayin is utterly Ayin. Both. Mitzad the Makar, it's Ayin, because the Yesh Amiti looks at it as Ayin. And it senses its Makar and knows its nothingness. And it's not a source for Yesh, so it's Taka Ayin, undefined by any definitions as well. The second Ayin is already an Ayin that's far less Ayin, in the sense that since it's a Makar Liyesh, it itself can't be totally Ayin because it's a source for Yesh. And the Yesh too doesn't look at it as Ayin, because if the Yesh looks at that as Ayin, then the Yesh can't be a Yesh. So that's the second level. So he's saying these two Ayins are the two Havayas. Havaya. The Eibishter himself, you can't say Havaya. Havaya, Atzmos is beyond name. Name is emanation. So the Havaya are the two levels of Ayin. We are the creatures. When we say Hashem, Ke'oracham Achanu. Hashem, these are these two levels of Ayin that precede our creation. Vayehe Beis b'chinas Ayin and Beis Shemes Havaya. These are the two names of Havaya. The Havaya, the Latata, the lower Havaya, who Havaya Loshem Ahava, is Havaya, which means a Loshen of creating. Shekol, I mean, it's a lower, it's Havaya, which the meaning of that Havaya is that it's Mahava. Shekol is Havos Mishem Havaya. The all coming into being is from Shem Havaya. It's not an active kind of a force to create. That's Shem Elokim, Bereshis Bara Elokim. So Havaya is a notch above. That's why in Havaya you don't say Bara, you say Vinivro. We learned it recently in a mimer. B'derech me'ela v'memela, as if it happened on its own. The power to create is from Shem Havaya. But this is the lower Shem Havaya. It's Molosh and Mahava. It creates the world. Shem Havaya D'Li'ela, the Shem Havaya D'Li'ela, Zeu B'chinas Ayin Amiti. This is the real Ayin. Shalamayla Mamakar Lehisavus. It's beyond being a source for creation. And it's totally batel, and as a result of it being totally batel, it's totally reflected on the Yesh Amiti of the Eibishter himself. For who inyan actually nivra olam ayohu shmoi bilvad. This is before the world is created. The second Havaya is already the Havaya of Brias Ha'olamos. It's after the world, or at the point of creation. Havaya emanates outward to create a world. But then it says, the Actually Nivra Olam, before the worlds were created. Hayohu is Shmoi Bilvad. This is the Eibishter's name while it's still included in him. His name that's completely still absorbed in him. And that's what we're saying in here in the Pasuk. You are my lamp Havaya, that is the lower Havaya. Hushem Havaya de Latata. That's the lower Havaya, which usually is the source for all input in creation. This is the Shem Havaya of the order of evolving worlds. That's regular Havaya. When I'm in a high place, in a good place. But when I'm in a dark place, and I'm in a place of darkness, or when we want to illuminate the very dark place, you can't draw from Shem Havaya D'Ishtalshalos. Remember we said before, you can't even call him completely Ayin, because he's a source for the Hisavos. And since he's a source for the Hisavos, so you have to say that on some benign level, the inyanim of Hisavos already apply to it. In the sense, that's why he's not completely ayin, we said earlier. And what are the inyanim of Ishtalshalos? The inyanim of Ishtalshalos are that there are certain rules and regulations. And what are the rules and regulations? That there's higher and there's lower. There's upper worlds and lower worlds. And that's why this Havaya is not completely above the law of the system of creation. It's not completely outside. Even though it's very transcendental in the sense that we say that creation did not come about through active participation of this Havaya, of preoccupation. It happened in a manner of vinivro, as if it happened on its own. So that means it's like not impacted by the very creation it's created. But still, since it's the makar for the creation and the system, it still has certain boundaries of the system. But from Hashem Havaya D'Li'ela, B'chenas Ayin Amiti, the true Ayin, which is a reflection, a ha'ara of the Yesh Amiti. And that has no shaykhis of a makar for creation. That Havaya is totally beyond creation. It's not a source for creation. And therefore it's not limited by any of the rules and regulations of creation whatsoever. Misham Yachal Liyos, from there can come a total shattering of the rules, Liyos Lahagia Asachoshech, to make darkness also be illuminated with light. V'zeu v'havaya, the higher Havaya, Agia Choshech. B'chen Hashem Havaya D'Li'ela, the upper Shem Havaya. The Misham Dafka Lagia Asachoshech. Dafka from there is when you illuminate the darkness. V'hine Gaba Moshe Ksiv Vayikra Havaya Havaya. Moshe is the one that calls Havaya Havaya. That's what it says. Who called Hashem Hashem Keracham Machana was Moshe. Vayavar Hashem Vayikra Hashem Hashem. That's interesting. Even though Ape Pashtas Vayavar Hashem upon him Vayikra is referring to the Eibishter. Vayavar Hashem upon him Vayikra Hashem Hashem. But there's a pirush over here that's referring to Moshe. Moshe called Havaya Havaya. Shekara v'himshech b'chen Hashem Havaya D'Li'ela. He's Megala the Ayin Ha'amiti in the second level of Ayin. The higher Havaya in Shem Havaya D'Latata, thereby empowering the lower Havaya also to wiggle itself free from the the constraints of the regulations of creation. That a Beis Hashem is Havaya pasik tame begavayo, because on their own they're separated, these two levels of Havaya. Well, Moshe. So therefore, he's explaining why Moshe has to do it. Mitzad Havaya itself, it can't happen. Why? Because by Hashem, Hashem, it says Hashem, Hashem, and there's a hefsek. Dafka by Moshe, there's no hefsek between the higher Moshe and the lower Moshe. So therefore, Moshe can connect the two Havayas as well. Moshe, the loy pasik tama begavayo. There's no hefsek by him. Chibur beis Hashem Havaya. He can attach the two Shemas Havaya, v'him shechgilu Shem Havaya D'Li'ela, in the lower Shem Havaya. L'chein hu dafka asher erida la'aretz. He was dafka the one who can bring the Shechina down to the world. Shehim shechgilia l'kus lamata. He was able to bring down Gilia l'kus down into the world. V'zeu gam ken inyan the kinor shel Yemoisa Mashiach. Now we'll understand the idea of the kinor of Yemoisa Mashiach. Hu shel shmoina niman. It is from 8 strands. 8. Why? Because kinor in general is the Gilui of Havaya. Because kinar comes from the word chavav ner. The ner means the illumination. Chavav, 26 is havaya. Hu chavav ner, chavav ainu shem havaya. That's kinar. Why is the kinar bizman hazeh of 7? Right? The kinar is 7 strands. Because havaya is the power of the Eibishter, havaya D'Latata, the lower havaya, the power of God in creation, which comes through the 7 midos. That's why there's, in Havaya D'Latata, there's 7 variations. There's Havaya in Kesser, there's Havaya in Gevura. We know that if you look at the Shem Havayas in Sidurim that are written on Kabbalah, you'll see that the Nekudos in Havaya is different in every bracha of Shemini Esrei. It's been Nikud of Shiva and Chaylam, this, that. Why? Because in each time there is different Kavanah depending on, because there are 7 Havayas. Havaya in Chesed, Gevura. That doesn't give you enough for all the brachas of Shemini Esrei, but it says whatever. There's different. So the 8 strands is the Hashem Havaya D'Li'ela, the Ayin Amiti, the real, the Shem Havaya. The Shem Havaya, they say the Rishtal Shalus, the lower Shem Havaya, Yesh Zayin Pamim Havaya. We say Hashem Olakim 7 times on Yom Kippur. The Besei the Rishtal Shalus, Yesh Eschalkus Madregas, different levels. Ubederach Klalim Chenezayin Midos, 7 Midos. Shem Havaya Benikud Segal, Benikud Shiva, V'choilam, Chulu. So these are different Shem Havayas with different Nikudas. The Shem Havaya D'Li'ela, Hu B'china Shemini. The Shem Havaya D'Li'ela, that's the Shem Havaya, that's the 8th dimension. And we know that that's only going to be Bizgalos when Mashiach will come. And that's why the Kinar, which is Chavav Ner, is going to be of 8. And that's why we find that Yaakov is Gematria 7 times Havaya. Because Yaakov is the Jew Bizman Hazeh. Yitzchak is Gematria 8 times Havaya. Because Yitzchak is futuristic. Oz Yamali Schaik Pinu. V'zeu the Yitzchak Gematria Ches Pamim Havaya. Ula Asad Yomer Li Yitzchak Yata Vinu. Dafka Yitzchak, you are our father. V'zeu in Yekinar Shal Shmoy Nanim in 8. Hainu Gilui B'china Shem Havaya D'Li'ela. which is meaning higher than the 7 midos, transcendental, relating already to where? To the Orein Soif. The Shala Asit Shala Asara Niman. But the one in the future is going to be of 10. Moshe Kasav Ale Asor. Asor means 10. Va'ale Novel. The Shemini hu b'chenas Bina. Now Shemini is Bina. HaKoileles Kol HaGimel Rishaynos. Bina is Koil all 3. So even though Bina is number 8, but she has Chachma in her, which is 9, and Kesser, which is 10. So the Esanim and Gilui Etzem Gimel Rishaynos, the essence of the first 3. When we're Megala that, there is Giloi down here in the world. And also we say that it was Bayom Hashmini. And what do we say about Bayom Hashmini? Notal Eser Atorois. Again, it's Taka Shemini, but from the Shemini we come to 10. But why Dafka we emphasizing it was Yom Hashmini? The Shechina was totally revealed down here below. What was special about this day was that the Gilui was to everybody. To all the Jewish people. Now, after this, there was still revelation. But it was Dafka Bebeis HaMikdash. Not to everybody, as if you came to the Beis HaMikdash and you stood there. And in the rest of the world, in general, the world was filled with a higher light during the entire time when the Beis HaMikdash was standing, much more than Chas v'Shalom Shaloi B'zman HaBayis when the Beis HaMikdash is not standing. It wasn't the same Gilui that was in the Beis HaMikdash in the whole world. Beis HaMikdash, even in the Beis HaMikdash itself, the main Gilui was not in the whole Beis HaMikdash, was in the Kodesh HaKadosh. But what's the Chiddush of Zehayim of this day? Gilui l'Klal Yisroel to everybody. Similar to Matan Torah, Gilui l'Kol Yisroel. There too was all the Yidden. And the light was very revealed. But afterwards, it went into concealment in the Torah, just like in the Mishkan. The first day was Gilui to everybody, and then it went to hidden. The same as in the Torah, the first day was Gilui by everybody. Why was there such a revelation? Now the truth is, Torah was also Bayom Hashmini. Like we said earlier, Torah came after 7 weeks. But here it was also after 7 days, the 8th day. Gilui b'chen Hashem Havayed Eliyela. The Gilui Hashem Havayed Eliyela. Yedei Gilui Lamata, which brings the Gilui below. Moshe Dafka. He was drawn down the essence of the Eibishter. He has a Gilui Lamata to make the revelation happen all the way down here. And that's the meaning that on the 8th day, Moshe called, but it had to be a special Kriya. Shemini Limeluyim was the 8th day. The Zayim Meluyim or Shivas Ayamim. The 7 days of Meluyim are the light of the 7 days. Zayin Tatoyin the Atik. The 7 lower energies of Atik Yoim, and if you trace it all the way back to its original roots. Shmini Limeluyim, the 8th day to the Meluyim, B'chenas Bina, is a much higher level of Bina. That includes all 3. And that's why took 10 Atarais, because even though you're hitting the 8th dimension from the 10, from the 8th you hit the in Bina is already Mislabish Chachma and Kesser, which represents Atzmos ultimately. If you go higher than all the spheres, it represents that which is Mufrash and Muvdal and the Eibishter himself. It includes all 3. This was the day that the Orein Soif was being his galus to all the Jewish people. The Kol Zeh Kara Moshe. Moshe called the Moshe Harida Mishamayim La'aretz. Moshe Rabbeinu was the man. He's the one that can do it. Brings him down the Shechina Mishamayim La'aretz Chulu, which is the ultimate achievement and accomplishment that is of all time. And das is the ganze Meise. When you come to a person on the street and you want to talk to him about a tzaddik, so when you talk to them about the Arizal, for instance, who when you open up his sefer, you don't understand the word that he's talking about, and it's full of, and you see that this is a Himmel, this is a person who's an Atzilus, he knows everything. Then a spot, and you say, can he be Mashiach? Of course the Arizal can be Mashiach. When you speak about the Lubavitcher Rebbe, He's speaking about a person who can talk to every individual and can take the deepest concepts and speaks about them like they're just in such simple language, explaining a Rashi, a Rambam, and then revealing. People are like, so give me, and they're not chopping this whole idea. This is the whole idea. The fact to be able to take inyanim that are completely, and everything be pashut and simple. And to find the entire everything and every small action and every activity, every conversation, every regular, down-to-earth, mundane. And it's not mundane activity. It's all of the Elyonim, all of Kabbalah, and all of it, but everything, on small change. All tarabgebringt, all simple. Speaking to children, speaking to this. And people don't have this. People have a hard time. Because they're expecting a magic, expecting but that's the whole chiddush. That's what we're talking about, the opposite. It's the whole, it's everything grounded, everything down here. It's not flying lights. It's all, once Mashiach will come, all the flying lights will open up. But betoich, the normalcy of normal, concrete, regular, down-to-earth living. That's the chiddush of Moshe Rabbeinu, the chiddush of feet on the ground.